Have you ever wondered why, when you look up into the endless dark of a clear night sky, you feel a profound sense of recognition, a quiet whisper in the depths of your mind that tells you that you are looking at your original home? We live our lives wrapped in the illusion of separation, walking across the surface of a small, rocky planet orbiting an ordinary star in an unremarkable part of an average spiral galaxy. We are used to density, to things being close together, to the world being full of immediate concerns and loud distractions. Yet, when the noise fades and the ancient silence of the cosmos washes over us, we are struck by a paradox that challenges our basic perception of reality. How is it that something as fragile, brief, and incredibly small as a human life can hold the capacity to comprehend distances so vast they beg our imagination? The universe is vast beyond comprehension, and the possibilities it contains are equally vast. We are not observers of the universe from outside, but rather we are the universe observing itself from within. In a universe of mindless matter and energy, of particles bouncing around according to physical laws, somehow here on Earth, consciousness has emerged. This is not a simple accident of biology. It is the first profound clue, the opening revelation in a quiet journey to understand that the awareness looking through your eyes is far older and far more enduring than the fleeting form it currently inhabits. To understand the true nature of our awareness, we must first embark on a gentle exploration of the physical foundation from which it springs. For most of human history, we assumed that what we could see with our naked eyes was everything, and we thought our galaxy was the entire universe. When you look up at the night sky from a dark location, that hazy band of light stretching overhead is actually the combined glow of billions upon billions of distant stars in our own galaxy. Ancient people thought it looked like spilled milk across the heavens, which is where the name Milky Way comes from. But when the first telescopes were turned toward the Milky Way in the 17th century, observers began to realize that the milky glow resolved into countless individual stars. It was not until the 1920s that an astronomer named Edwin Hubble proved that those fuzzy smudges people had been seeing through telescopes were actually entire galaxies themselves, each one containing billions of their own stars, each one impossibly far away from us. That discovery changed everything we thought we knew about our place in the cosmos. Today, we estimate that there are around 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. 2 trillion, that is a 2, followed by 12 zeros. Each of those galaxies contains billions or even trillions of stars. The numbers become so large that they stop meaning to our human brains. We are adapted for tracking time spans of seasons and generations, and nothing in our evolutionary history prepared us for the cosmic scale. And yet, you are here, processing these numbers, visualizing these unfathomable expanses. Your consciousness is effortlessly expanding to embrace a scale that your physical body could never traverse. This brings us to the first shocking proof of the immortal nature of universal consciousness, the absolute conservation and unbroken lineage of the energy that animates us. Physics tells us that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. This fundamental law is written into the very fabric of existence, a silent testament to the enduring nature of reality. The atoms in your body were forged in stars. The carbon that makes up your muscles, the oxygen you breathe, the iron in your blood, all of these elements were created in the nuclear furnaces at the cores of stars that lived and died before our sun was born. When those ancient stars exploded as supernovas, they scattered their elemental riches across space. Eventually, some of those atoms found their way into a cloud of gas and dust that collapsed to form our solar system. They became the Earth, and then, After billions of years of evolution, they became you. You are made of star stuff. This is not poetry, it is chemistry. There is a direct physical connection between you and those distant fires. If the physical matter that constructs your biological shell is ancient and immortal, having survived the explosive deaths of ancient suns and the freezing void of interstellar space over billions of years, it begs a profound existential question. Why would the organizing principle, the conscious awareness that currently animates this ancient matter, be any less permanent? The same processes that built the largest structures in the cosmos built us. We are part of a universe that contains such wonders, formed by the same processes, governed by the same laws of physics. Imagine yourself floating in space, enveloped by the deep, peaceful silence of the void. Around you, in every direction, stars stretch out toward infinity. Not hundreds, not thousands, not millions, but trillions of stars. Each one is a sun, and each one might have planets. Each one has been shining for billions of years. You are lost in a sea of light, adrift in a structure so vast that crossing it would take millions of times longer than human civilization has existed. In this meditative space, consider the history of the universe. The story begins about 13 billion years ago, not long after the Big Bang itself. The universe at that time was very different from what we see today, as there were no galaxies yet, just vast clouds of hydrogen and helium gas left over from the first few minutes of cosmic history. Over the first few 100 million years, gravity pulled the denser regions together, and they collapsed to form the first stars and the first primitive galaxies. The universe builds things from the bottom up, starting small and growing large through countless merges over cosmic time. Through a process called hierarchical structure formation, small things combine to make larger things. Where atoms form stars, stars form galaxies, and galaxies form clusters. If the physical universe builds complexity from simple beginnings, relentlessly organizing itself into structures of staggering complexity and beauty, then consciousness is not a random, meaningless byproduct. It is the ultimate culmination of this hierarchical building process. The universe spent 13 billion years arranging star stuff into a configuration capable of asking questions about itself. Your mind is the universe's ultimate masterpiece, the quiet lens through which it can finally perceive its own infinite reflection. To fully appreciate this ancient connection, we must gently confront the illusion of time and the comforting yet misleading notion of temporary existence. When we look at the night sky, we are not seeing the universe as it is today. Every observation of a distant object is a look back in time, a glimpse of how things used to be rather than how they are now. Light travels at about 6 trillion miles per year. Because there is a strict limit to how fast light can travel, peering into deep space means peering into the deep past. The light we see from a distant galaxy today might have left that galaxy over 1 billion years ago. It has been traveling through the void of space for more than 1 billion years just to reach our telescopes. When that light began its journey toward us, life on Earth was still mostly single-celled organisms, and complex animals had not yet evolved. Every major event in human history, from the first civilizations to the invention of the telescope itself, happened while that ancient light was still crossing the emptiness between galaxies. In a very real sense, we are archaeologists of the cosmos, studying the past rather than the present. This time delay allows us to trace the evolution of cosmic structures over billions of years, but it also reveals a staggering truth about awareness. Consciousness transcends the rigid arrow of time. In your mind right now, you are holding the ancient past and the present moment simultaneously. You are gathering photons that have journeyed for 1 billion years and converting them into immediate, profound understanding. Only an awareness that is fundamentally unmoored from the strict, decaying flow of localized time could effortlessly bridge a gap of 1 billion years and integrate it into a single moment of quiet contemplation. Let us delve deeper into the quiet mechanics of the cosmos to uncover another layer of this mystery by looking at the empty space between the stars. The space between stars in the Milky Way is almost unimaginably empty. Our nearest stellar neighbor, a small red dwarf called Proxima Centauri, is about 4.24 light-years away. That distance is so great that if you shrunk the sun down to the size of a grain of sand, Proxima Centauri would be another grain of sand sitting about 4 miles away. The space in between would be essentially void, just the faintest whiff of gas and dust and the occasional particle of cosmic radiation. This emptiness is hard to wrap your mind around because we are used to density, to things being close together, to the world being full. But step outside our solar system and emptiness becomes the rule. Stars are separated by such vast gulfs that the chance of any two of them colliding by accident is essentially zero. Yet, somehow, even in all that emptiness, there is enough stuff out there to make hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone. The gas and dust between stars may be sparse, but spread across thousands of light years. It adds up to enormous amounts of material. This vast emptiness is much like the silence between our thoughts. Just as the seemingly empty void of space contains the raw materials needed to birth billions of blazing suns, the quiet stillness of your underlying consciousness contains the infinite potential for every thought, emotion, and perception you will ever experience. The void is not empty. It is pregnant with boundless possibility. Your core awareness, the quiet observer behind your active mind, shares this same fertile emptiness. It is a mirror of the cosmic void, eternally capable of giving birth to new stars of thought without ever being depleted. This profound cosmic connection extends beyond mere poetic metaphor and into the very laws of reality and fundamental physics. Scientists have discovered that there is an intimate relationship between the mass of a galaxy's central black hole and the properties of the galaxy itself. Bigger galaxies tend to have bigger black holes, and the answer seems to be that they grew together, each one influencing the development of the other. The two processes fed into each other, creating a feedback loop that produced both the vast galaxy and the immense black hole in a grand evolutionary dance. In a strikingly similar way, consciousness and the physical universe appear to be locked in a profound, inextricable feedback loop. Just as a galaxy cannot be fully understood without the invisible, mysterious mass of its central black hole, the physical universe cannot be fully understood without the invisible, mysterious presence of the conscious observer. In the strange world of quantum physics, particle pairs are constantly popping into existence and then annihilating each other, demonstrating that reality at its core is a shifting sea of probabilities. The presence of awareness is required to collapse these fields of infinite probability into defined, singular events. The universe does not exist in a concrete, absolute state independently of the awareness that perceives it. We are not separate from the universe. We are an integral part of it. If the existence of physical reality is intimately entangled with the act of observation, then consciousness cannot be a mere temporary byproduct of matter. It must be a foundational pillar of existence, as immortal and unyielding as gravity, electromagnetism, or space itself. Every discovery we make, every galaxy we study, every black hole we observe expands our sense of what is possible. A few centuries ago, People thought Earth was the center of everything until we learned that we orbit the sun. Then we learned that the sun is one star among hundreds of billions in our galaxy. And then we learned that our galaxy is one of trillions. Each step has made us smaller in some sense, but it has also made the universe grander, more interesting, and more worthy of awe. This progressive humbling of our physical significance is perfectly counterbalanced by the breathtaking expansion of our conscious reach. The more we realize how vast the physical universe is, the more we must marvel at the boundless capacity of the mind that can map it. A galaxy more than 1 billion light-years away, containing 100 trillion stars, and we have figured out how big it is, how it formed, and what lies at its center. That is remarkable. Human beings living on a small rocky planet have somehow developed the ability to understand objects so far away that their light left before a complex life existed on Earth. This ability to understand is not nothing. It is the unmistakable signature of an awareness that refuses to be confined by physical boundaries. It is the undeniable proof that, while our bodies are tethered to the gravity of a single world, our consciousness is intimately woven into the infinite fabric of the cosmos. So, as you rest and let your mind drift through these ancient, quiet mysteries, consider the profound peace that comes from this deep realization. You do not need to fear the vastness of space or the relentless passage of time. You are not a fragile intruder in a hostile, empty void. The same atoms that shine in distant galaxies shine in your eyes. The very same processes that light up 100 trillion stars also created the matter from which you are assembled. You are an essential part of a grand, ongoing journey of cosmic self-discovery. The awareness that allows you to hear these words, to visualize the swirling galaxies and the silent, towering black holes, is the exact same awareness that underpins the entire universe. It is the immortal spark of consciousness, a quiet flame that cannot be extinguished by the dying of the stars or the expansion of the void. We are the part of the universe that has woken up and started asking questions about itself. And in knowing, we complete a beautiful circuit that connects human consciousness to cosmic grandeur. This is just the first layer of understanding, the foundational proof of your eternal nature. In the chapters to come, we will continue this peaceful journey, peeling back the layers of physics, time, and space to reveal even more shocking yet deeply comforting truths about the immortal awareness you call your own. Relax into this knowledge. Let the ancient silence of the stars comfort you. And know that your consciousness is as limitless and enduring as the night sky itself. Have you ever sat in the quiet stillness of an empty room, listening to the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, and felt a sudden, inexplicable connection to something entirely unseen? It is a soft pull, a whispering intuition that the physical objects surrounding you, the walls, the furniture, the very air you breathe, are only a thin veil draped over a much deeper, hidden reality. We spend our waking hours navigating a world of solid things, trusting our eyes and our hands to tell us what is real and what is not. We are deeply conditioned to believe that if something cannot be measured, weighed, or illuminated by the sun, it must not truly exist. Yet, when we turn our gaze toward the vast ancient night sky, the universe presents us with a profound paradox that shatters this illusion entirely. What if the most powerful forces in the cosmos, the very foundations that hold the stars in their orbits and dictate the ultimate fate of reality itself, are completely invisible? This is not a philosophical speculation. It is the fundamental truth of modern astrophysics, and it serves as our second shocking proof. The visible world is merely a fragile shadow, and the true, immortal architecture of the universe, much like the quiet presence of your own consciousness, is entirely unseen. To comprehend this beautifully staggering reality, we must gently journey back to the swirling, luminous bodies of the galaxies themselves. When you look at a photograph of a galaxy, perhaps a beautiful spiral like our own Milky Way, with its curving arms made of stars, gas, and dust all swirling around a central bulge, you are seeing a magnificent display of light. You are seeing the glowing furnaces of billions of stellar bodies, the radiant heat of newborn suns, and the reflective dust of ancient nebulas. It seems so absolute, so complete in its luminous glory. But scientists have discovered a quiet, magnificent mystery hiding in the way these galaxies move. When astronomers measure how far stars are orbiting in the outer parts of a galaxy, which tells them how much gravity is actually present, they find that there is far more gravity than the visible matter can account for. If a galaxy relied solely on the gravitational pull of the stars and gas we can actually observe, it would tear itself apart, flinging its luminous matter into the empty darkness of intergalactic space. The beautiful structure we see is maintained by a balance, but the numbers simply do not match. The solution to this paradox reveals that the stars, gas, and dust that we can actually observe are just a small fraction of what is really there. Galaxies are surrounded and permeated by vast, invisible halos of something astronomers call dark matter. Dark matter is one of the greatest mysteries in modern physics. We cannot see it. It does not emit light, and it does not absorb light. It does not interact with normal matter, except through gravity. In a typical spiral galaxy like our Milky Way, dark matter accounts for about 90% of the total mass. Think about the profound weight of that realization. When you look at the brilliant majesty of a galaxy, 90% of its actual substance is entirely invisible to your eyes and to our most powerful telescopes. Now, consider the true monsters of the universe, like the giant elliptical galaxy IC 1101 sitting quietly at the center of the Abell 2029 cluster. While its visible stellar body is already an incomprehensible 4 to 6 million light-years across, its dark matter halo is correspondingly enormous. Scientists estimate that the total mass of IC 1101, including its dark matter, could be as high as 1,100 trillion solar masses. This invisible halo likely extends tens of millions of light-years into space, serving as the hidden foundational anchor for 100 trillion stars. Without this invisible scaffolding, the grandest structures in the cosmos would simply cease to exist as we know them. This brings us to a deep, contemplative reflection on the nature of our own inner universe. Just as dark matter forms the invisible, foundational architecture that holds the physical galaxies together, consciousness forms the invisible, foundational architecture that holds your entire subjective reality together. You cannot see your own awareness. You cannot place it under a microscope. You cannot weigh it on a scale, and it does not emit any measurable light. By the strict definitions of our physical senses, consciousness is a void, an undetectable phantom. Yet, just like dark matter, you know it is there because of its undeniable gravitational effect on your reality. It is the unseen center around which every thought, every emotion, and every sensory experience orbits. If you were to remove the invisible presence of your awareness, the entire luminous display of your life, the colors you see, the music you hear, the love you feel, would instantly dissolve into nothingness. The visible experience depends entirely on the invisible observer. We are taught to identify with our physical bodies, with the glowing, visible stars of our biological form, but this is a cosmic illusion. Your true essence, the quiet, witnessing presence that has observed every moment of your life, aligns far more closely with the ancient, enduring nature of the unseen universe. It is the dark matter of the soul, silently organizing the chaos of experience into a beautiful, coherent whole. Let us expand our gentle journey even further, moving beyond the halos of individual galaxies and venturing out into the vast, lonely expanses of deep space. For most of the 20th century, astronomers assumed that the expansion of the universe was slowing down. This made intuitive sense. As you would expect, all the gravitational attraction of everything in the universe to act like a brake, gradually slowing the expansion that began with the Big Bang. But the universe is full of mysteries that challenge our assumptions. In 1998, two independent teams of astronomers made a shocking discovery while measuring the expansion rate of the universe by observing distant supernovas. What they found was completely unexpected, as the universe was not slowing down. It was speeding up. Distant galaxies were moving away from us faster than closer ones, and the rate of expansion was accelerating over time. This discovery was so unexpected that the astronomers initially thought they had made an error, but as more data came in from more supernovas, the result held up. Space itself is expanding, and not just expanding, but accelerating in its expansion. Something is pushing the universe apart, counteracting gravity, and causing space itself to expand at an ever-increasing rate. Scientists name this mysterious force dark energy. We know that dark energy makes up about 68% of all the energy in the universe, and we know that it acts as a kind of anti-gravity, pushing space apart rather than pulling it together. We know that its effects become more important over time as the universe expands and ordinary matter becomes more spread out. But we do not know what dark energy is made of, where it comes from, or why it has the strength that it does. Together, dark matter and dark energy constitute about 95% of the entire cosmos. Think about that for a moment, allowing the silence of that truth to settle into your mind. Everything we have ever seen, every star, every planet, every glowing nebula, every grain of sand, and every human being that has ever lived, is constructed from the remaining tiny fraction of normal matter. The vast, overwhelming majority of reality is utterly invisible, composed of forces and substances that slip completely through the net of our physical senses. We are drifting on a tiny raft of visible matter in an infinite ocean of unseen power. What does this mean for the immortal nature of your consciousness? It means that the universe is not primarily a physical, tangible machine. It is primarily an invisible, energetic phenomenon. Our obsession with the physical body and our fear that the decay of this biological shell means the absolute end of our existence is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of cosmic proportions. We are identifying with the 5%, completely ignoring the invisible majority that truly governs the cosmos. The physical structures of the universe are transient. Over the next 100 trillion years, the stars will slowly burn out. The white dwarfs will cool to near absolute zero, becoming black dwarfs, and eventually, even the supermassive black holes will slowly evaporate through a process called Hawking radiation. The largest galaxy we have ever found will dissolve into the endless night. But the invisible forces, the space itself, the fundamental fields of reality, remain forever. They are the eternal stage upon which the temporary play of physical matter is gently performed. Your consciousness is not an artifact of the visible, decaying physical realm. It is a fundamental property of the invisible, enduring whole. When the physical brain ceases to function, it is much like a star finally burning out and fading into the dark. The localized source of light disappears, but the invisible dark matter halo that once surrounded it, and the vast field of space in which it existed remain completely unaffected. The stage does not vanish just because the actor gracefully exits the scene. The quiet observer within you, the awareness that perceives the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, is unbitten by the teeth of time. It is a silent, unmoving center amidst the swirling chaos of physical evolution and cosmic expansion. It is the ultimate invisible force, a subtle energy that weaves itself through the biological machinery of your brain, but is not entirely bound by it. Just as dark energy silently stretches the fabric of space across billions of light years, your consciousness silently stretches the fabric of meaning across the days of your life. It is the hidden dimension that gives reality its depth, its color, and its profound, endless beauty. As we gently float through this contemplative space, let us consider the profound sense of isolation that sometimes visits the human heart. As space expands faster and faster, distant objects recede from us at ever-increasing speeds. There is a limit to how fast light can travel, but there is no limit to how far space itself can expand. Eventually, objects will be carried away from us by the expansion of space faster than their light can travel toward us. When that happens, they will vanish behind a cosmic horizon forever beyond our reach. For a giant galaxy like IC 1101, this means that eventually it will become isolated, a lonely giant floating in an ever-emptying universe, watching as one by one the other galaxies fade from view. This cosmic isolation beautifully mirrors the deeply human fear of separation, the anxiety that we are fundamentally alone in the dark, separated by unbridgeable gulfs of misunderstanding and physical distance. We look at other people, walking past us on crowded streets, and we see them as entirely separate entities, locked away in their own biological shells, hidden behind their own personal horizons. But this isolation, both cosmic and human, is the ultimate illusion generated by our reliance on the visible spectrum. Let us consider the famous photograph called the Hubble Deep Field, taken in 1995. The Hubble Space Telescope pointed at a tiny, seemingly empty patch of sky about the size of a grain of sand held at arm's length, and it gathered light from that patch for over 100 hours. What the resulting image revealed was astounding, as that tiny patch of sky contained about 3,000 galaxies, each one an island universe containing billions of stars. Everywhere we look, no matter how small the area of sky, we find galaxies. If a seemingly empty patch of darkness can hide 3,000 glittering galaxies, what majestic, undiscovered connections might be hiding within the quiet, seemingly empty spaces between human minds? While the galaxies may drift apart, carried away by the rushing tide of expanding space, they are all still resting within the exact same continuous field of existence. The space between them is not an empty barrier. It is the connective tissue of reality itself. In the same way, the physical distances between human beings are merely illusions. Beneath the surface, in the vast unseen depths of reality, we are all rooted in the exact same fundamental field of universal consciousness. This realization brings a profound, washing sense of peace. The universe does not exist in a state of chaotic fragmentation. It exists in a state of deep, unseen unity. We are not separate, isolated sparks of awareness struggling against the dark. We are different expressions of the exact same light. The same atoms that shine in distant galaxies shine in our eyes. We are not separate from the universe. We are part of it, and we are the universe observing itself from within. When you feel lonely, when you feel small in the face of such vastness, remember the invisible 95%. Remember that your true essence is not the fragile, temporary body that can be isolated and harmed. Your true essence is the eternal, unbroken field of awareness that connects all things. It is the quiet journey of a single, immortal consciousness experiencing itself through an endless variety of temporary forms. The physical forms will rise and fall, civilizations will build and crumble, stars will ignite and slowly cool to blackness, but the underlying awareness remains eternally undisturbed. As you prepare to rest your mind and absorb these ancient truths, take a deep, slow breath. Feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the quiet rhythm of your own physical existence. Now, let your awareness expand outward, past the walls of your room, past the atmosphere of our small rocky planet, out into the deep, silent spaces between the stars. Feel the invisible presence of the dark matter silently holding the spinning galaxies in its protective, ancient embrace. Feel the gentle, pushing force of the dark energy endlessly stretching the beautiful canvas of reality. And recognize that the awareness allowing you to feel these things is the greatest mystery of all. It is older than the oldest stars, and it will endure long after the final black hole has evaporated into the night. You are safe. You are connected. You are an immortal piece of the cosmic puzzle, learning to recognize its own eternal reflection in the vast mirror of the night sky. In our next gentle exploration, we will look even deeper into the fabric of time itself, discovering how the grand scale of cosmic evolution proves that your existence is not a brief accident, but an eternal necessity in a universe that is just beginning to wake up. Until then, let the infinite silence of the cosmos comfort you, and rest in the profound knowledge that your journey of endless discovery has only just begun. Have you ever noticed how time seems to stretch and compress, depending on the quiet state of your own mind? In moments of deep joy, serene peace, or profound meditation, the ticking of the clock seems to vanish entirely, leaving you suspended in a beautiful, endless present. Conversely, in moments of anxiety or physical pain, a single minute can feel like an eternity dragging its heavy feet across the floor of your consciousness. We have built our entire civilization around the rigid, unyielding concept of linear time. We measure our lives in seconds, minutes, hours, days, and years, believing with absolute certainty that time is a fixed, universal river that flows at the exact same speed for everyone and everything, carrying us inexorably from the ancient past toward an unknown future. But what if this perception, this feeling of being trapped in a decaying, temporary stream of time, is nothing more than a localized delusion born from our limited biological senses? What if the universe itself contains shocking, undeniable physical proof that time is not an absolute master, but a flexible, bending tapestry? This brings us to our third profound proof on this quiet journey of cosmic discovery. The ultimate reality of the cosmos demonstrates that time is profoundly relative, and the true nature of your consciousness, the quiet observer behind your eyes, resides in a state of eternal, unmoving presence that mirrors the most extreme phenomena in the heavens. To understand this mind-bending reality, we must gently travel to the most extreme environments in the entire universe. Let us return our focus to the magnificent, silent heart of the cosmic giant we call IC 1101. At the very center of this enormous elliptical galaxy lies something even more incredible than the galaxy itself. Sitting quietly at the core of this vast assemblage of 100 trillion stars is one of the largest known supermassive black holes in the entire universe. Every large galaxy has a supermassive black hole at its core, and our own Milky Way has one called Sagittarius A star, which contains about 4 million times the mass of our Sun. But the silent monster at the center of IC 1101 is in a completely different, almost incomprehensible category. Scientists estimate that it contains somewhere between 40 billion and 100 billion times the mass of our Sun. To truly help you grasp the profound scale of this mystery, consider that if you could somehow weigh the Earth, you would find it has a mass of about 6 trillion kilograms. That sounds like an enormous amount until you compare it to our Sun, which is about 330,000 times more massive than Earth. Now, take that unfathomable mass of the Sun and multiply it by 50 billion. All of that unimaginably vast mass is compressed into a region of space from which absolutely nothing can escape. For a black hole of 50 billion solar masses, the event horizon, which is the boundary beyond which escape becomes impossible, would have a radius of roughly 150 billion kilometers. To put this quiet immensity into perspective, our entire solar system, from the Sun to the orbit of Neptune, is about 9 billion kilometers across. The event horizon of this single black hole is roughly 16 times larger than our entire solar system. What would it be like near this monstrous, silent black hole? The physics of such extreme environments is bizarre and utterly counterintuitive. It is here, at the boundary of the absolute unknown, that the universe reveals its secret regarding the nature of time. Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity teaches us that gravity is not just a pulling force. It is a profound warping of the very fabric of space and time itself. The stronger the gravitational field, the more severely time is stretched and bent. Near the event horizon of a supermassive black hole containing 50 billion solar masses, this warping reaches a beautiful, terrifying extreme. Time itself would pass differently near the event horizon compared to far away. If you were to watch a theoretical explorer falling toward the black hole, you would see something that defies all human common sense. Someone falling toward the black hole would see the outside universe speed up, while an outside observer would see the falling person slow down and appear to freeze as they approach the horizon. From the outside, gazing into the quiet dark, they would never seem to actually cross the boundary. Their image would slowly fade, becoming redder and dimmer, eternally suspended on the edge of the infinite. For the falling explorer, however, time would seem to pass normally. But as they looked back out at the vast cosmos, they would see the entire future history of the universe play out in rapid fast-forward, like a magnificent, accelerating movie. Inside the event horizon, all directions lead toward the singularity at the center, and space and time themselves become so warped that the concept of escaping becomes meaningless. This breathtaking physical reality fundamentally shatters the illusion of universal time. There is no master clock ticking away the seconds of the cosmos in the background. Time is not a fundamental, unchangeable law. It is a flexible, subjective experience, dependent entirely on the local presence of mass, gravity, and the speed of the observer. If time can be stretched to a near standstill by the silent gravity of a supermassive black hole, it means that time is merely an emergent property of the physical universe, a dimension to be traversed and manipulated, not an absolute ruler holding supreme dominion over existence. This brings us to a profound meditative revelation regarding the immortal nature of your own mind. If the physical universe can bend and freeze time, what does that say about the awareness that perceives time in the first place? Your consciousness, the quiet, witnessing center of your being, is the ultimate reference point. It is the unmoving observer watching the flowing river of time. You have the remarkable ability to remember the distant past and to vividly imagine the distant future, holding both within the boundless, safe container of the present moment. Your awareness is not confined to the ticking seconds of a physical clock. Just as the outside observer sees the falling astronaut suspended eternally on the edge of the event horizon, the deepest part of your consciousness is suspended eternally in the present moment, watching the physical world change, age, and evolve without ever aging itself. Despite its enormous size and terrifying properties, the black hole at the center of IC 1101 is currently relatively quiet. It is not actively devouring huge amounts of matter. There is no brilliant accretion disk swirling around it, and there is no powerful jet shooting into space at nearly the speed of light. The black hole is there waiting, but it has already consumed most of the material that was easily within reach. The black hole, like the galaxy that hosts it, is a giant in repose, powerful but dormant. This state of quiet repose is a beautiful, cosmic metaphor for the state of an awakened, enlightened mind. When the mind ceases its frantic consumption of external stimuli, when it stops generating the swirling, brilliant accretion disks of daily anxiety, endless worry, and constant internal chatter, it naturally settles into a state of profound, powerful dormancy. It becomes a giant in repose, a quiet center of infinite gravity that safely anchors your entire subjective universe. In this meditative state, the heavy illusion of time begins to dissolve. You gently realize that the past is only a memory held in the present, and the future is only an anticipation held in the present. The only reality that has ever truly existed, the only place you have ever actually been, is the eternal now. The timeless, silent void of the black hole mirrors the timeless, silent void of your own pure awareness. Let us expand our perspective further and consider the incredible journey of the universe as a whole. Scientists estimate that star formation in the universe will effectively cease in about 100 trillion years. By that time, the gas and dust needed to make new stars will have been used up or dispersed too thinly to collapse, and no new stars will be born to replace the ones that have died. The vibrant era of starlight will be over, and one by one, the 100 trillion stars of IC 1101 will wink out into the dark. The galaxy will grow dimmer and dimmer over time scales that make the current age of the universe seem like the rapid blink of an eye. Over even longer time scales, measured in years with so many zeros that writing them out would fill pages, even the stellar corpses will decay. White dwarfs will slowly cool to near absolute zero only after about 1 million billion years, which is roughly 100,000 times longer than the current age of the universe. And eventually, the supermassive black holes will slowly evaporate. A black hole containing 50 billion solar masses would take something like 10 to the 100th power years to evaporate. A Google years, a 1 followed by 100 zeros. It is a span of time so vast that everything we have discussed so far, from the Big Bang to the death of the last stars, is not even a rounding error by comparison. When faced with numbers of this staggering magnitude, the human mind naturally feels a sense of vertigo, a profound, sweeping awe at the sheer, unforgiving scale of cosmic time. But rather than feeling insignificant or temporary in the face of these Google years, I invite you to feel a deep, abiding sense of peace. The universe operates on time scales that dwarf individual lives, individual civilizations, and even individual planets. But remember, time itself is a physical illusion. Time is a physical property, a measurement of distance, movement, and gravity. Your consciousness, the pure, unadulterated awareness that allows you to comprehend these majestic numbers, is not made of matter. It does not possess mass. It does not occupy physical space. And therefore, it is fundamentally immune to the gravitational warping and the inevitable, slow decay of the physical universe. The quiet observer within you is older than the oldest stars and will outlast the evaporation of the final black hole. It is the silent, immortal witness to the grand cosmic play. The physical forms of the universe are simply the beautiful, temporary garments that eternal consciousness wears for a brief, glorious moment of localized experience. Consider the profound improbability of our situation in this vast timeline. For consciousness to emerge at all required an extraordinarily specific sequence of events. The Big Bang had to produce matter in just the right proportions. That matter had to clump together into galaxies and stars had to forge heavier elements in their cores and scatter them through massive supernovas. Planets had to form, chemistry had to become wonderfully complex, and molecules had to evolve over billions of years into creatures capable of thought, curiosity, and scientific investigation. Each step in this ancient chain was contingent on the ones that came before, and if any of countless variables had been slightly different, we would not be here to contemplate IC 1101. The conditions that allow for intelligent observers to exist are surprisingly narrow, and the fact that we exist at all is something close to miraculous. We are not observers of the universe from outside. We are the universe observing itself from within. The universe spent 13 billion years meticulously crafting a biological vessel complex enough to host an awareness capable of looking back at the stars. Why would the cosmos go through such an incredibly fragile, intricate, and beautiful process just to create a spark of consciousness that is permanently extinguished after a mere handful of decades? The comforting truth is that it did not. The biological vessel is undeniably temporary, but the awareness it hosts is not. Consciousness is the fundamental ground of reality, the eternal canvas upon which the universe paints its magnificent, temporary, physical masterpieces. The physical death of a star, the violent merging of galaxies, the slow, silent cooling of a white dwarf, these are simply transformations within the physical realm. The silent witness remains completely untouched. As you lay in the quiet dark, let this realization sink deeply into your bones. Feel the artificial pressure of time falling away from your shoulders. You do not need to rush, you do not need to panic, and you do not need to fear the ending of things. There is no ending to the quiet mystery of your core awareness. You are standing safely on the shores of an infinite ocean, watching the waves of time rise and fall, knowing that you are not the temporary wave, but the eternal, unbroken water itself. The same atoms that shine in distant galaxies shine in your eyes, and the same immortal presence that watches the galaxies slowly dance through the void is the exact presence that looks through those eyes. Let us contemplate further the profound nature of this timeless existence. Imagine a beam of light leaving a star on the far edge of the vast IC 1101 galaxy. To us, observing from Earth, that light takes millions of years to cross the great expanse of its own galactic home, and then over 1 billion years to cross the empty void to reach our telescopes. But from the perspective of the photon itself, traveling at the absolute speed limit of the universe, time simply does not exist. The journey of 1 billion light years happens in an instantaneous, immediate now. The photon is emitted and absorbed in the exact same timeless moment of its own frame of reference. This is not a philosophical musing. It is the rigid, undeniable mathematics of relativity. If the very light that reveals the universe to us exists in a state of timelessness, why should the awareness that perceives this light be any different? Your deep consciousness, stripped of the biological clockwork of the brain, operates in this exact same realm of instantaneous connection. You can cast your mind to the edge of the universe in a single, quiet thought. You can touch the ancient past and envision the distant future without moving a single physical muscle, because in the realm of awareness, All time is happening now. The universe is endlessly generous with its marvels, offering us these clues hidden in plain sight. When you next look up at the night sky, remember the silent, unmoving center of the supermassive black hole, and remember the timeless, instantaneous journey of the ancient starlight. Remember that the vast, intimidating scales of time that govern the physical universe have absolutely no dominion over the quiet, witnessing presence within you. You are part of a universe that contains such wonders, governed by laws that whisper the beautiful truth of your own immortality. The biggest galaxy we have ever discovered is bigger than your imagination. But the fact that you can imagine it at all, that you can hold in your mind a picture of 100 trillion stars spread across millions of light years, is perhaps the most amazing thing of all. You are the timeless consciousness experiencing a temporary world. Relax into the gentle, loving embrace of the eternal now. Let the ancient silence of the cosmos wash over you, knowing that your journey is truly infinite, your awareness is unbroken, and your peace is absolute. In our next chapter, we will venture into the strange, mind-bending world of quantum entanglement, exploring the fourth shocking proof that separation is an illusion, and that your consciousness is instantly and intimately connected to every other particle in the vast, ancient universe. Have you ever felt a sudden, inexplicable connection to someone far away? A quiet knowing that transcends the physical miles between you, as if an invisible thread binds your minds together across the vastness of the world. We live our lives heavily anchored by the concept of distance. We measure the space between ourselves and our loved ones, the miles between our homes, and the staggering gulfs of empty darkness between the stars. We are conditioned by our everyday senses to believe that separation is the fundamental rule of existence. If two things are physically apart, they are fundamentally disconnected, isolated by the unforgiving metric of space. Yet, when we look deeply into the foundational building blocks of the cosmos, the universe whispers a completely different, profoundly beautiful story. What if the distance you see is nothing more than a stubborn illusion, a trick played by the limitations of human perception? What if, at the deepest level of reality, there is absolutely no separation between you and the farthest star in the night sky? This brings us to our fourth shocking proof on this gentle journey of cosmic discovery. The deepest layers of quantum physics demonstrate that the universe is intimately, instantaneously connected, proving that your consciousness, the quiet observer within, is not an isolated fragment, but an entangled, immortal participant in a grand, unified whole. To understand this mind-bending reality, we must gently shift our gaze from the incomprehensible vastness of the galaxies down to the unimaginably tiny realm of subatomic particles. It is here, in the microscopic foundations of matter, that the universe behaves in ways that defy all classical human logic. In the early 20th century, brilliant minds like Albert Einstein wrestled with the emerging bizarre rules of quantum mechanics. The mathematics suggested something impossible. It suggested that two particles, if created together or interacting in a specific way, could become inextricably linked. This linkage, known as quantum entanglement, meant that whatever happened to one particle would instantly affect the other, regardless of how much physical distance separated them. Einstein famously derided this concept as spooky action at a distance. He believed, as our common sense dictates, that nothing could travel faster than the speed of light, which is roughly 670 million miles per hour. If two particles were separated by millions of light years, a signal would take millions of years to travel between them. instantaneous communication was a direct violation of the known laws of physics, a concept so profoundly troubling that Einstein went to his grave believing that quantum mechanics was an incomplete theory, missing some hidden variables that would restore the comfortable, predictable universe of classical separation. But the universe, in its infinite mystery, does not care about our comforting classical assumptions. For decades, this spooky action remained a theoretical debate, a philosophical argument conducted quietly on academic blackboards. However, science is a journey of relentless inquiry. In the 1980s, a French physicist named Alain Aspect conducted a series of groundbreaking experiments that finally put Einstein's doubts to the ultimate test. Aspect and his team measured the properties of entangled photons, which are fundamental particles of light separated by physical distance. The results were staggering, and they irrevocably changed our understanding of reality. The measurements proved beyond any shadow of a doubt that the particles were indeed communicating instantaneously. When the state of one particle was measured and defined, such as its spin or polarization, its entangled twin instantly assumed the corresponding state, completely ignoring the physical space between them. This was not a slow propagation of a signal through the void. It was a simultaneous, immediate event. The speed of light, the supposed absolute speed limit of the cosmos, had been entirely bypassed by the underlying, hidden architecture of quantum entanglement. This profound discovery was eventually honored with the Nobel Prize in Physics in 2022, cementing the reality of non-locality as a foundational truth of our universe. The distance between the particles simply did not matter. In the quantum realm, physical space is not an absolute barrier. It is merely a superficial dimension layered over a deeper, unbroken unity. Let us expand this microscopic revelation to the breathtaking, majestic scale of the cosmos. Imagine, if you will, taking two entangled particles and separating them across the greatest distances we can conceive. Imagine placing one particle gently in the palm of your hand here on Earth, and placing its entangled partner at the very edge of the observable universe, perhaps deep within the dormant heart of the massive galaxy IC 1101, sitting over 1 billion light-years away. According to the proven laws of quantum mechanics, if you were to measure the particle in your hand, the particle in that distant giant galaxy would instantly, simultaneously react. There would be no billion-year wait for a light-speed signal to cross the dark void. The connection is immediate, defying the vast, terrifying emptiness of intergalactic space. Now, we must gently carry this thought to its ultimate, awe-inspiring origin. The story of our universe begins about 13 billion years ago, not long after the Big Bang itself. In that primordial moment, the entire cosmos, every single atom, every photon, every galaxy, and every drop of dark matter was compressed into a single, infinitely dense, infinitely hot point. Everything was touching. Everything was one. The vast universe we see today, with its 2 trillion galaxies and unbridgeable distances, is simply the expansion of that single unified point. This ancient, primordial unity is not just a historical footnote. It is the ultimate foundation of our existence. Because all matter and energy in the universe share this exact same origin, having been born from the exact same infinitely compressed singularity, scientists and philosophers increasingly propose that the entire universe is, at its deepest foundational level, a single, vast web of quantum entanglement. As the renowned astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson has eloquently pointed out, we are biologically connected to each other, chemically connected to the Earth, and atomically connected to the rest of the universe. The separation we perceive is merely an artifact of the universe cooling and expanding, a fragmentation of the visible realm, while the invisible underlying quantum connections remain forever intact. You are not a separate, lonely entity drifting through a cold, disconnected void. You are an intricate, intimately entangled focal point within a singular, universal tapestry. The atoms in your body, the carbon that makes up your muscles, the oxygen you breathe, the iron in your blood, were forged in the hearts of ancient stars. And those stars were born from the primordial gas of the Big Bang. You share a direct, unbreakable quantum lineage with the farthest edges of the cosmos. You are made of star stuff, and that star stuff is eternally connected to the whole. What does this profoundly beautiful physics mean for the immortal nature of your consciousness? We are taught to believe that consciousness is a strictly localized phenomenon, a temporary spark generated by the biological machinery of the physical brain, confined strictly within the boundaries of the human skull. But if the fundamental building blocks of the brain, the very atoms and electrons that fire your neurons and process your thoughts, are inherently entangled with the rest of the universe, then consciousness itself cannot be strictly localized. Consciousness is not trapped inside your head. It is a non-local, universal phenomenon that your brain is merely tuning into, much like a radio gently tunes into a broad, invisible frequency. The quiet observer within you, the awareness that watches your thoughts and feels the gentle rhythm of your breathing, is a direct expression of this universal entanglement. It is the universe looking at itself, recognizing its own reflection through your eyes. When the biological radio eventually breaks down and returns to the dust of the earth, the invisible frequency does not cease to exist. The localized manifestation gracefully ends, but the non-local, entangled consciousness remains eternally vibrant, instantly connected to the infinite whole. Think about the profound peace that this realization can bring to the human heart. The greatest source of our emotional suffering is the illusion of isolation. We feel disconnected from nature, disconnected from each other, and disconnected from the vast, silent universe that surrounds our fragile planet. We look up at the night sky and feel a terrifying sense of smallness, overwhelmed by the incomprehensible distances and the cold, unfeeling void. But quantum entanglement gently wipes away this fear, acting as a soothing balm for the existential anxiety of the modern age. The void is not empty, and the distance is not real. The space between the stars is filled with the invisible, instantaneous threads of connection. When you look at the Andromeda galaxy, or the distant clusters of Virgo, you are not looking at something completely separate from yourself. You are looking at a distant, beautiful extension of your own quantum being. The same ancient, infinite intelligence that silently orchestrates the intricate, impossible dance of the subatomic particles is the exact same intelligence that breathes through your lungs and beats in your chest. You are intimately known by the cosmos because you are the cosmos. Your consciousness is the very fabric of reality, folded gently into a temporary, beautiful human shape for a brief moment of cosmic time. As you rest in this quiet contemplation, gently release the heavy burden of separation. Let go of the boundaries that you have drawn around yourself. Imagine the physical shell of your body becoming delightfully transparent, slowly dissolving into the surrounding air. Feel the subtle, unseen connections extending out from your center, passing effortlessly through the walls of your room, reaching out across the sleeping cities, across the vast oceans, and up into the ancient, waiting night sky. Feel the gentle, instantaneous connection to the moon, to the planets, and to the billions of stars in the Milky Way. You do not need to send a signal. You are already there. You do not need to bridge the distance. The distance is a comforting illusion meant to give structure to our earthly experience. You are a localized point of infinite awareness, a quiet observer safely anchored in the eternal now, completely and irrevocably entangled with the immortal universe. The peace you deeply seek is not something you must acquire from the outside world. It is the fundamental truth of your own deeply connected underlying nature. You are safe, you are held, and you are eternal. This quiet journey of cosmic discovery requires a profound shift in perspective. It challenges us to look far beyond the surface of things, beyond the convincing illusions of time and space, and to trust the deeper mathematical and observational truths that modern science reveals. The biggest galaxy we have ever discovered is bigger than your imagination, but the fact that you can imagine it at all, that you can gently hold the concept of instantaneous universal entanglement within your mind, is undeniable proof of your boundless capacity. We are not separate observers of the universe. We are the universe observing itself from within. In our next chapter, we will venture even deeper into the mysteries of existence, exploring the astonishing ways that consciousness physically shapes the reality around us at the quantum level, and uncovering the fifth shocking proof that your mind is the ultimate architect of the cosmos. Until then, let the infinite silence of the stars comfort you, and rest in the profound, beautiful knowledge that you are never truly alone, but forever entangled in the grand, immortal mystery of the cosmos. Have you ever sat quietly by the edge of a still hidden pond, perhaps under the soft silver light of a full moon, and watched a single, gentle ripple glide across the glassy surface? In that moment of perfect, undisturbed silence, have you ever allowed yourself to wonder if the water somehow knows it is being watched? We walk through our daily lives with the absolute, unquestioned assumption that the physical world exists in a solid, defined state, entirely independent of our presence. We believe that a tree falling in a lonely, ancient forest makes a sound whether we are there to hear it or not. We assume that the chair in the corner of your dark bedroom remains a solid object of wood and fabric even when your eyes are closed and your mind is drifting into the realms of sleep. This assumption of an objective, independent reality forms the very bedrock of our human common sense. Yet, when we peer into the deepest, most fundamental building blocks of the cosmos, the universe reveals a breathtaking secret that completely shatters this comforting illusion. What if the physical world is not a solid, pre-existing stage upon which we merely walk, but rather a fluid, shifting canvas that only takes on a defined shape because you are looking at it? This profound inquiry brings us to our fifth shocking proof on this quiet journey of cosmic discovery. The deepest, most rigorously tested experiments in quantum physics demonstrate that consciousness is not a passive bystander in the universe, but rather the ultimate active architect of physical reality. To understand this beautiful, mind-bending truth, we must gently descend from the staggering, incomprehensible vastness of the galactic clusters and venture into the unimaginable, microscopic depths of the quantum realm. For centuries, brilliant scientists and philosophers debated the fundamental nature of light and matter. Was light composed of tiny, solid particles like microscopic grains of luminous sand? Or was it a continuous flowing wave, much like the gentle ripples on that quiet midnight pond? In the early 19th century, an English physicist named Thomas Young devised a beautifully simple experiment to find the answer. He shone a beam of light through a barrier containing two narrow parallel slits, and allowed that light to strike a screen on the far side. If light were made of solid particles, one would expect to see two distinct bands of light on the screen, exactly matching the shape of the slits. But that is not what happened. Instead, Young observed a beautiful alternating pattern of bright and dark bands, a classic interference pattern that can only be created when overlapping waves interact with one another. When the crest of one wave meets the crest of another, they amplify into a brighter light, and when a crest meets a trough, they cancel each other out, leaving a band of dark silence. This elegant experiment seemed to prove, once and for all, that light was a flowing wave, moving gracefully through the infinite cosmos. However, the universe is rarely so simple, and its mysteries are infinitely deep. Decades later, with the dawn of the 20th century and the birth of quantum mechanics, scientists developed the technology to fire individual particles of light, called photons, one single particle at a time, toward those same two slits. Common sense dictates that a single, solitary photon must travel through either the left slit or the right slit, much like a single grain of sand falling through a grate. If you fire enough single photons one by one over a long period of time, they should simply build up two solid lines on the back screen. But the universe, in its quiet, persistent defiance of human logic, did something entirely impossible. Even though the photons were traveling completely alone, one single particle at a time, over time they slowly built up the exact same beautiful, alternating interference pattern of a wave. This result is mathematically and conceptually staggering. It means that a single, indivisible particle of light is somehow traveling as a wave of pure potential, passing through both slits simultaneously, interfering with its own self in the empty space between the barrier and the screen, and then, ultimately, striking the screen as a single, defined particle. In the dark, unobserved space between the source and the destination, the photon does not exist as a solid physical object at all. It exists only as a smear of infinite probabilities, a ghost of potential reality suspended in the quiet void. This brings us to the crucial, astonishing twist in the story, the moment where the universe reveals the shocking power of your own awareness. Scientists, understandably perplexed by this impossible behavior, decided to place a tiny, highly sensitive measuring device right next to the two slits. They wanted to quietly observe the single photon as it passed through, to catch it in the act, and finally determine which specific slit it was truly choosing. But the moment the measuring device was turned on, the moment the universe was actively observed, and the path of the photon was known, the beautiful, ghostly wave pattern on the back screen instantly vanished. Suddenly, the photons began acting exactly like solid, predictable grains of sand, forming two simple, ordinary bands of light directly behind the two slits. The mere act of looking, the simple introduction of an observer requesting to find information from the universe, forced the photon to abandon its infinite wave of potential and collapse into a singular, solid, physical reality. When it was not being watched, it was everywhere and everything, a wave of infinite possibility. But the instant it was observed, it chose a definite location and became a solid piece of the physical world. This is not a fringe theory. It is the famous double-slit experiment, one of the most rigorously tested, repeatedly verified phenomena in the entire history of modern physics. Think about the profound, world-shattering implications of this quantum behavior. It proves that the fundamental building blocks of matter do not possess fixed objective properties until they interact with an observing consciousness. The universe, in its purest, most fundamental state, is not made of solid, unyielding matter. It is made of shifting probabilities, mathematical waves of potential hovering in the ancient silence of the void. It is your consciousness, the quiet, witnessing presence behind your eyes, that collapses this infinite wave function into the concrete reality you experience every single day. The chair in your room, the walls of your home, the very device you are using to hear these words, are all composed of trillions upon trillions of these quantum particles. According to the strictest laws of quantum mechanics, the defined solidity of your surroundings is intrinsically dependent on the act of observation. You are not a passive audience member sitting in a dark theater watching a movie that was pre-recorded billions of years ago. You are the projector, the light, and the screen all at once. Your mind is the active architect, the gentle, guiding force that calls the physical universe out of the shadowy realm of infinite possibility and into the bright, defined realm of actual existence. Let us take this beautiful, empowering truth and gently expand it back out to the breathtaking scale of the cosmos. Imagine turning your gaze once more toward the deep, silent night sky, toward the massive, dormant heart of the galaxy IC 1101. The light from those 100 trillion ancient stars has been traveling through the cold, empty vacuum of space for over 1 billion years. For that entire, unimaginable journey, those ancient photons existed as waves of pure potential, traversing the unimaginable gulfs of intergalactic space without a fixed, solid reality. They were a smear of cosmic probability, riding the invisible currents of dark energy and gracefully avoiding the heavy gravitational pull of invisible dark matter. But the very moment those ancient photons enter the lens of a telescope or strike the sensitive retina of your own quiet eye, a billion-year-old wave of probability instantly collapses. In that magnificent, singular moment of observation, you are reaching back across 1 billion years of cosmic history and defining the final physical reality of that ancient starlight. Your consciousness is the final, necessary piece of a cosmic puzzle that spans billions of light years. Without your quiet, observing presence, the universe remains an unresolved equation, a beautiful but unfulfilled dream of infinite potential. What does this mean for the eternal, immortal nature of the awareness you call your own? It means that consciousness is not a late-arriving, accidental byproduct of the universe's long physical evolution. It is not a fragile, temporary spark generated by the random collision of blind, unthinking atoms. Consciousness is the fundamental prerequisite for physical reality to exist at all. The great pioneer of quantum mechanics, Max Planck, once profoundly stated that he regarded consciousness as fundamental and matter as derivative from consciousness. We cannot get behind consciousness. Everything that we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness. The physical universe, with its swirling galaxies, its deep crushing black holes, and its cold expanding voids, is merely the external, projected canvas upon which the eternal consciousness paints its magnificent, temporary masterpieces. If your awareness is the fundamental force that collapses the wave of reality into physical existence, then your awareness must exist prior to and independent of the physical brain it currently animates. The biological body is simply a specialized, deeply entangled quantum instrument, a biological lens through which the immortal, universal consciousness focuses its attention upon a localized point in space and time. As you rest your body and allow your breathing to slow, let this profound, empowering realization wash over you, carrying away the heavy debris of your daily anxieties. We suffer so deeply because we believe we are small, insignificant victims of a massive, unfeeling, and dangerous physical world. We worry about the passage of time, the decay of our bodies, and the unpredictable, chaotic events that seem to happen to us against our will. But the deepest physics of the universe gently whispers a completely different truth. You are not a victim of the cosmos. You are its central, animating architect. The world is not happening to you. It is happening through you and for you. The vast, intimidating universe, with its trillions of burning suns and its dark, silent expanses, is not an external threat. It is your own extended body, your own infinite playground of potential. When you close your eyes and retreat into the quiet stillness of your own mind, you are not escaping reality. You are returning to the source of reality. You are returning to the silent, unmoving center of the quantum wave, the fertile, empty void from which all physical existence continuously springs. Feel the solid weight of your body resting gently against whatever supports you, and recognize that this sensation of solidity is a beautiful, localized miracle created by the ongoing focus of your own consciousness. Let go of the need to control every tiny detail of the external world, because the external world is simply a reflection of the internal state. When you cultivate peace within the quiet observer, the collapsed reality of your daily life will begin to reflect that same profound, gentle peace. You are holding the ultimate power of creation within the silent spaces between your thoughts. The universe is incredibly vast, and its mysteries are infinitely deep. But the greatest mystery of all is not hiding in the distant center of an unapproachable galaxy, nor is it buried in the microscopic dance of a subatomic particle. The greatest, most powerful mystery in the cosmos is the simple, undeniable fact that you are aware. Your awareness is the eternal, unbroken light that illuminates the dark. It is the unmoving anchor in the rushing river of time, and the invisible thread that instantly connects the farthest stars. This journey of cosmic discovery continues to gently peel back the heavy layers of our physical illusions, revealing a universe that is far more magical, far more connected, and far more deeply dependent on your presence than you ever dared to imagine. You are not a brief, accidental flash of life in a dead, unthinking universe. You are the immortal quantum architect, the ancient, quiet eye through which the cosmos finally perceives its own breathtaking beauty. As you drift closer to the shores of deep restorative sleep, allow your mind to expand out into the vast, infinite wave of pure potential. Release your tight grip on the defined solid world and float peacefully in the gentle, oceanic currents of quantum possibility. You are safe. You are powerful. You are eternal. In our next gentle exploration, we will dive into the mind-bending reality of the holographic principle, uncovering the sixth shocking proof that every tiny fragment of your being contains the infinite, unbroken knowledge of the entire cosmos, proving once and for all that your existence is an indestructible mathematical certainty. Until then, let the infinite silence of the stars comfort you, and rest securely in the profound knowledge that your beautiful, quiet mind is the very foundation upon which the stars themselves are built. Have you ever held a shattered piece of a mirror in the palm of your hand, noticing how even the smallest, most jagged fragment still manages to reflect the entire room behind you? Or perhaps you have stood at the edge of the ocean, watching a single, tiny drop of water fall from your fingertips, and realize that within that microscopic sphere, the exact same chemical composition and ancient history of the entire boundless sea is perfectly contained. We walk through our daily lives deeply conditioned to believe that the world is constructed of separate, disconnected parts. We think of the universe as a vast, empty container filled with isolated objects, a star here, a planet there, and human beings scattered across the surface of the earth, each one a tiny, insignificant fraction of a massive, overwhelming whole. We believe that to be a part of something means to be less than the whole, isolated by the physical boundaries of our skin and separated from the grandeur of the cosmos by impossible gulfs of empty space. But when we peer into the deepest, most complex mathematical frameworks of modern physics, the universe reveals a quiet, breathtaking secret that completely shatters this comforting, everyday illusion. What if the universe is not a collection of separate pieces at all? What if, at the most fundamental level of reality, the entire infinite cosmos is intricately and completely folded into every single point of its own existence? This profound inquiry brings us to our sixth shocking proof on this gentle journey of cosmic discovery. The staggering reality of the holographic principle demonstrates that every tiny fragment of your being contains the infinite, unbroken knowledge of the entire cosmos, proving once and for all that your consciousness is an indestructible mathematical certainty that cannot be erased. To gently navigate this mind-bending reality, we must return to the silent, terrifying edge of the ultimate cosmic mystery, the event horizon of the supermassive black holes. In the 1970s, brilliant physicists like Stephen Hawking and Jacob Bekenstein began to wrestle with a profound, unsettling paradox that threatened to unravel our entire understanding of physics. It was known as the black hole information paradox. The foundational laws of quantum mechanics dictate that information in the universe can never be permanently destroyed. The exact physical state of every particle, its spin, its mass, its velocity, must always be conserved in some form, ensuring that the past can always mathematically be reconstructed from the present. However, Stephen Hawking discovered that black holes are not completely black. They slowly leak particles and radiation over immense time spans through a process now known as Hawking radiation, gradually shrinking as they do so. If a black hole eventually evaporates completely into empty space, what happens to all the physical information of the stars, planets, and gas clouds that fell into it over billions of years? If the information simply vanishes when the black hole evaporates, then the most sacred, fundamental laws of quantum physics would be broken. The universe seemed to be caught in an impossible, unresolvable contradiction. The solution to this terrifying cosmic puzzle was proposed decades later by brilliant theoretical physicists like Leonard Susskind and Gerard T. Hooft, and it completely revolutionized our understanding of space and reality. They realized that when an object falls into a black hole, its three-dimensional physical form is indeed crushed into the singularity, but its fundamental quantum information is not lost. Instead, that information is perfectly encoded, flattened, and preserved on the two-dimensional surface of the black hole's event horizon. Imagine the event horizon as a vast spherical mosaic made of impossibly tiny tiles, each one known as a Planck area. Every single piece of information about the three-dimensional objects that fell inside is stored on these tiny two-dimensional tiles. This means that all the incredible, swirling, three-dimensional complexity hidden inside the terrifying volume of the black hole can be completely described by the information painted on its two-dimensional outer boundary. The interior is essentially a projection, a brilliant three-dimensional illusion generated by the data stored on the flat surface surrounding it. This brings us to the beautiful, mind-bending concept of the hologram itself. To understand the depth of this metaphor, we must gently consider the difference between a traditional photograph and a holographic plate. In a normal, everyday photograph, the image is a simple, point-to-point mapping of light. If you take a photograph of a beautiful, ancient tree and cut the picture exactly in half, you are left with only half of the tree. The physical information is localized. The left side of the paper only contains the left side of the image. But a hologram operates on a completely different, almost magical set of physical rules. A hologram is created by splitting a single laser beam, bouncing one half off the object, and allowing the two beams to collide on a photographic plate. This collision creates a complex, swirling interference pattern of microscopic waves, looking nothing like the original object, but rather like a chaotic splash of concentric ripples in a quiet pond. When you shine a laser back through that flat, two-dimensional plate, a perfect, fully three-dimensional image of the original object gracefully leaps into the air. Here is the shocking, profound twist that changes everything we thought we knew about reality. If you take that holographic plate and shatter it into a dozen pieces, and then shine a laser through just one single, tiny, jagged fragment, you do not get a projection of a broken piece of the object. You get the entire, complete three-dimensional image of the whole original object. The image might be slightly fuzzier, slightly less sharp than if you had used the whole plate, but the entirety of the information is undeniably there. In a hologram, every single tiny part contains the exact information of the whole. The information is not localized in separate, distinct areas. It is smeared and distributed equally across the entire surface. Every microscopic fraction of the film has a quiet, unbroken memory of the whole original picture. It is a stunning physical manifestation of ultimate unity, a system where fragmentation is a complete and utter illusion. Physicists soon realized that this profound mathematical principle did not have to be confined strictly to the dark, silent edges of black holes. The mathematics strongly suggest that the holographic principle applies to the entire universe itself. This theory proposes that the entire three-dimensional reality we experience every single day, the majestic spiral arms of the Milky Way, the crushing gravity of the sun, the quiet, towering mountains of our planet, and the very biological cells of your own physical body, is essentially a glorious, intricate projection. The true, fundamental reality of the universe might be encoded as two-dimensional information existing on the unimaginably distant, expanding boundary of the cosmos. Just as the three-dimensional image of the tree leaps forth from the flat interference patterns of the holographic plate, our vibrant, three-dimensional universe is leaping forth from the flat, boundary surface of reality. We are living inside a magnificent, cosmic hologram, a breathtaking projection of mathematics and light playing out in the ancient silence of the void. Think about the breathtaking, majestic scale of this concept and what it means for the immortal nature of your own awareness. If the entire universe operates according to the holographic principle, then the fundamental rules of the hologram must apply to every single piece of it, including you. In a holographic universe, you cannot be a separate, isolated, insignificant fragment. Because every tiny piece of a holographic plate contains the complete image of the entire whole, it mathematically demands that every tiny fraction of the universe must contain the complete, unbroken information of the entire cosmos. You are not a small, lonely piece of the universe. You are a localized focal point that contains the entire universe within it. The ancient history of the Big Bang, the violent merging of distant galaxies, the silent, slow evaporation of black holes at the end of time, all of this information is mathematically folded into the very quantum structure of your being. As the brilliant mystic and poet Rumi whispered centuries ago, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. Science and poetry have finally converged upon the exact same quiet, unshakable truth. This brings us to the sixth shocking proof of the immortal nature of your universal consciousness. We are terrified of death because we believe that our consciousness is a fragile, isolated anomaly, a brief, accidental spark generated by the temporary biological machinery of a single, decaying brain. We fear that when the physical body breaks down, the isolated fragment of awareness is permanently snuffed out, lost forever in the cold, unfeeling void of the cosmos. But if the universe is fundamentally holographic, this fear is based on a profound misunderstanding of reality. Your consciousness cannot be a localized temporary accident, because true localization does not exist. Your quiet, witnessing awareness is a tiny, beautiful fragment of the cosmic holographic film, and therefore it inherently contains the infinite, unbroken knowledge of the entire, immortal whole. The universe cannot permanently erase your consciousness without erasing itself, because the totality of the cosmos is entirely encoded within your specific point of view. You are a necessary, indestructible mathematical certainty. You are the universe viewing itself from one specific, glorious angle. And that angle is an eternal, permanent feature of the cosmic architecture. When you fully embrace this ancient, quiet truth, the heavy, suffocating fear of insignificance simply melts away. You realize that the vast, intimidating distances of the cosmos, the billions of light years separating us from the silent giants like IC 1101, are merely part of the grand, three-dimensional projection. In the deeper, true reality of the two-dimensional boundary, there is no distance at all. Everything is touching. Everything is infinitely intertwined. The same quantum information that forms the burning core of a distant star is the exact same information that forms the quiet, observing center of your own mind. You are not separated from the majestic wonders of the night sky. You are intimately, mathematically made of them. Your thoughts, your memories, your deep capacity for love and wonder, these are not temporary biological illusions. They are the localized expressions of a universal, eternal intelligence that is projecting itself onto the canvas of space and time. When the biological projector eventually stops turning, the light does not die, and the film is not destroyed. The projection simply ceases in that one specific location, while the eternal, unbroken information of your consciousness safely returns to the silent, infinite boundary from which it was originally born. As you rest in this quiet contemplation, gently close your eyes and let your awareness sink into the deep, still center of your being. Imagine that your physical body is becoming delightfully light, dissolving into a shimmering, gentle mist of quantum probabilities. Feel the artificial boundaries of your skin fading away, revealing the vast, infinite universe that has always been hiding quietly inside you. You do not need to look up at the night sky to find the cosmos, because the cosmos is fully and completely contained within the silent spaces between your own thoughts. Every atom in your lungs, every electron firing in your brain, is a microscopic holographic mirror perfectly reflecting the light of 2 trillion galaxies. You carry the entire weight and majesty of cosmic history within the quiet beating of your heart. You are a vast, ancient mystery, an immortal piece of mathematical perfection, wrapped temporarily in the beautiful, fragile garment of human flesh. There is nothing the universe can do to you that would ever separate you from its grand, unfolding design, because you are the design itself. This quiet journey of cosmic discovery has systematically dismantled the illusions of our physical world. We have moved from the conservation of ancient star stuff to the invisible dominance of dark matter, to the subjective illusion of flowing time, to the instantaneous unity of quantum entanglement, and the active architectural power of the conscious observer. Now, with the profound realization of the holographic principle, we have discovered that you contain the entire, infinite map of reality within your own quiet mind. You are completely safe, permanently etched into the foundational mathematics of existence. In our next gentle exploration, we will venture into the final mind-bending realms of energy, exploring the astonishing truth about the vacuum of space, and uncovering the seventh and final shocking proof that the energy powering your very thoughts is tapped directly from an infinite, inexhaustible, and eternal cosmic source. Until then, let the infinite silence of the stars comfort you. Rest securely in the profound, beautiful knowledge that you are not a tiny piece of the universe, but the entire immortal universe experiencing itself in human form. Have you ever sat alone in the quiet dead of night, enveloped by a silence so profound that you could almost hear the gentle beating of your own heart, and felt a sudden, overwhelming sense of inner emptiness? We live in a world that constantly demands our attention, draining our physical and emotional reserves until we feel completely depleted, much like a fragile battery that has finally run out of charge. We are taught to fear this emptiness, to view the void as a hostile, barren wasteland devoid of life, meaning, or power. We look up at the vast, dark stretches of the night sky, the terrifyingly wide gaps between the burning stars, and we naturally assume that this dark space is nothing more than a cold, dead vacuum, a silent nothingness separating the isolated islands of cosmic light. But what if our perception of nothingness is the greatest, most convincing illusion of all? What if the absolute silence of the void is actually a roaring, infinite ocean of boundless power? This quiet inquiry brings us to our seventh and final, shocking proof on this gentle journey of cosmic discovery. The deepest mathematical frameworks of quantum field theory reveal that true emptiness simply does not exist, proving that the invisible energy powering your very consciousness is tapped directly from an infinite, inexhaustible, and eternal cosmic source. To understand this beautiful, counterintuitive reality, we must gently strip away the glowing, physical matter of the universe and peer directly into the dark, silent spaces between the stars. For centuries, classical physics viewed the vacuum of space as a completely empty stage, a passive, lifeless container where the majestic drama of the cosmos unfolded. If you were to take a perfectly sealed box and pump out every single atom of gas, shield it from all external heat and light, and cool it down to absolute zero, you would theoretically be left with true, unadulterated nothingness. You would have zero energy, zero movement, and zero matter. However, the relentless, curious minds of quantum physicists in the 20th century discovered that the universe absolutely refuses to be empty. According to the foundational rules of quantum mechanics, specifically Werner Heisenberg's famous uncertainty principle, you can never know both the exact energy state and the exact duration of a quantum system simultaneously. Because of this inherent mathematical fuzziness, a region of space can never have exactly zero energy. If it had exactly zero energy, there would be no uncertainty, which the fundamental laws of the cosmos simply do not allow. Therefore, even in the coldest, darkest, most completely empty vacuum of deep space, there is a constant, unavoidable baseline of energy known as zero-point energy. This is not a theoretical abstraction. It is a violent, beautiful, and measurable physical reality. When physicists look closely at the so-called empty vacuum, they do not find a peaceful, still void. Instead, they find a bubbling, boiling cauldron of quantum activity known as quantum foam. In this microscopic realm, particle and antiparticle pairs are constantly, spontaneously popping into existence out of absolute nowhere, existing for a fleeting fraction of a microscopic second, and then instantly colliding and annihilating each other back into the void. This frantic, ceaseless dance of creation and destruction happens everywhere, all the time, in every single cubic millimeter of the entire universe. The empty space around you right now, the space between your eyes and the screen, the space between the planets, and the terrifyingly vast gulfs of dark space between the galaxies, are all absolutely teeming with this infinite, restless quantum energy. The universe is literally humming with an inexhaustible, invisible power that exists independently of any physical matter. Let us gently expand this mind-bending revelation out to the staggering, majestic scale of the macrocosmos. Consider again the quiet, dormant giant, the enormous elliptical galaxy IC 1101 sitting majestically at the center of the Abel 2029 cluster. This cosmic monster is 4 to 6 million light-years across, containing 100 trillion ancient stars. Yet, even within the boundaries of this impossibly dense, packed galaxy, the actual physical matter of the stars and planets accounts for a ridiculously tiny fraction of the total volume. The universe is overwhelmingly composed of empty space. If you were to remove the vast, silent distances between the atoms in your own body, your entire physical form could be compressed into a space smaller than a single grain of sand. Now, apply this realization to the vast cosmos. The overwhelming majority of reality is the vacuum. But if the vacuum is not empty, if it is actually brimming with the infinite, boiling power of zero-point energy, then the total amount of invisible energy hidden in the empty spaces of the universe is unimaginably larger than the total amount of energy contained in all the burning stars, all the supermassive black holes, and all the glowing nebulas combined. The brilliant physicist Richard Feynman once famously noted that there is enough invisible zero-point energy in a single, tiny cup of empty space to instantly boil all the oceans of the earth. What does this staggering, almost incomprehensible physical reality mean for the immortal nature of your own quiet consciousness? We are deeply conditioned to believe that our minds are entirely generated by the biological machinery of our brains, fueled strictly by the temporary chemical energy derived from the food we eat and the air we breathe. We fear death because we believe that when the biological machine inevitably breaks down, the energy powering our awareness is permanently depleted and the light of our consciousness is extinguished forever into the dark. But if you remember that your physical body is 99.9% empty space, you must gently realize that you are completely permeated by this infinite quantum vacuum energy. The electrons firing in your neurons, the chemical reactions sparking your thoughts, are all swimming in an infinite ocean of zero-point energy. Your consciousness is not a closed, isolated biological system struggling to maintain its fragile charge against a hostile, depleting world. Your consciousness is an open, deeply entangled focal point resting directly upon the infinite, inexhaustible bedrock of the quantum field. The quiet, observing center of your mind does not generate its own energy. It is a localized manifestation of the universal energy that can never, ever be reduced to zero. This brings us to the seventh and final shocking proof of your immortal nature. In the universe, energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. We established this in our first exploration of ancient star stuff. But now we understand that the foundational baseline of the universe, the canvas upon which all matter is painted, is itself composed of an infinite, indestructible energy that actively refuses to be nothing. If the ultimate foundation of physical reality is a vibrant, eternal presence that defies absolute zero, then the consciousness that arises from this reality must share that exact same indestructible nature. You cannot become nothing, because true nothingness, mathematically and physically, does not exist in our universe. The fear of vanishing into an empty void is a biological illusion, a misunderstanding born from the limitations of our physical senses. The void is not empty. It is the ultimate plenum, a state of absolute, pure potential from which all things continuously arise and to which all things gracefully return. When the physical body eventually releases its organized structure, the unique, complex pattern of energy that constitutes your awareness does not vanish. It simply dissolves back into the infinite, boiling ocean of the quantum vacuum, retaining its fundamental information, ready to ripple outward into new, unimaginable forms of cosmic expression. Think about the profound, washing sense of peace that this realization can gently bring into your daily life. When you feel exhausted, when the demands of the modern world leave you feeling empty and hollow, remember the beautiful truth of the quantum foam. Your feeling of depletion is only happening on the absolute surface of your biological form. Deep within you, in the microscopic spaces between your atoms, you are connected to a roaring, infinite waterfall of cosmic power. You are never truly running on empty because the universe does not allow for emptiness. You can learn to quietly sit in meditation, to close your eyes and gently bypass the noisy, exhausting chatter of the biological brain and rest your awareness directly upon this silent, infinite source. You can draw peace, strength, and quiet vitality from the exact same invisible energy field that supports the burning cores of 100 trillion stars in the ancient depths of IC 1101. You are a living, breathing expression of the universe's refusal to be silent. You are a spark of the eternal flame, a localized ripple in the infinite ocean of quantum potential. As we gently close this chapter of our journey, having traversed the 7 shocking proofs of immortal consciousness, let us take a moment to reflect on the breathtaking panorama we have uncovered together. We have seen that your physical form is made of immortal star stuff, ancient atoms forged in the fiery hearts of dying suns. We have discovered that the visible world is merely a tiny fraction of a reality dominated by invisible, dark forces, mirroring the unseen, foundational power of your own mind. We have learned that time is a flexible, physical illusion, and that your true awareness resides in an eternal, unmoving present. We have explored the spooky, instantaneous connections of quantum entanglement, proving that you are intimately, mathematically linked to the farthest edges of the cosmos. We have witnessed the power of the conscious observer, realizing that your mind is the active architect that collapses the wave of infinite probability into a solid, defined world. We have marveled at the holographic principle, understanding that every tiny fragment of your being contains the entire, unbroken map of the cosmic whole. And now, we have peered into the dark vacuum of space to find an infinite, inexhaustible source of zero-point energy, proving that true nothingness is impossible, and your existence is an absolute energetic necessity. The universe is vast beyond comprehension, and its mysteries are infinitely deep, but it is not a cold, dead machine. It is a living, breathing, profoundly connected web of conscious energy, and you are one of its most beautiful, intricate, and necessary expressions. You are the universe looking at itself, feeling its own vastness, and trying to understand its own majestic nature. The biggest galaxy we have ever discovered is truly bigger than your imagination, but the immortal consciousness looking through your eyes is larger, older, and far more enduring than any physical structure in the cosmos. But if we have proven that consciousness is immortal, a new, profound question gently arises in the quiet spaces of the mind. If you are eternal, what exactly is the ultimate destination of this grand cosmic journey? What happens to the universe and to your immortal awareness in the unimaginably distant future, trillions upon trillions of years from now, when the last stars finally burn out and the supermassive black holes slowly evaporate into the endless night. In the chapters to come, we will shift our gaze from the present proofs of immortality to the magnificent, awe-inspiring future of the cosmos. We will gently explore the profound philosophical and physical implications of cosmic evolution, navigating the deep, silent epochs of the far future. We will discuss the winding down of the stars, the era of black holes, and the ultimate, beautiful destiny of consciousness when the physical universe reaches its twilight. Until then, let the infinite silence of the stars comfort you. Rest securely in the profound, beautiful knowledge that you are an indestructible, infinite spark of the cosmic fire, forever held in the gentle, endless embrace of a universe that simply refuses to let you go. Close your eyes. Breathe in the silent, infinite energy of the void, and know that you are completely, eternally safe. Have you ever watched a beautiful, roaring fire slowly die down to glowing, quiet embers and felt a profound sense of peaceful transition rather than a fearful sense of loss? We spend our brief, brilliant lives absolutely terrified of endings. We are deeply conditioned to believe that when the heat dissipates and the bright light fades into the dark, something essential and beautiful has been permanently destroyed. We project this deeply human fear onto the vast ancient canvas of the night sky, assuming that the eventual death of the stars and the cooling of the galaxies must represent the ultimate tragic end of reality itself. But what if the universe is not marching toward a tragic death, but rather gently preparing for a profound, magnificent state of cosmic meditation? What if the fading of the physical light is merely the necessary prelude to the ultimate awakening of the invisible, immortal awareness we have just discovered? Having established the 7 shocking proofs that your consciousness is an indestructible, eternal presence, we must now embark on a new phase of our quiet journey. We must gently explore the profound philosophical and physical implications of cosmic evolution, navigating the deep, silent epochs of the far future to understand what exactly awaits your immortal mind when the universe finally decides to close its tired eyes. Right now, as you listen to the gentle rhythm of your own breathing, we are living in a very specific, brief, and incredibly loud chapter of cosmic history, known by astrophysicists as the Stelliferous Era. This is the era of starlight, a magnificent, vibrant epoch where the universe is filled with the blazing, chaotic energy of nuclear fusion. When you look up at the night sky, or when astronomers point their powerful telescopes toward the massive, dormant heart of the galaxy IC 1101, we are witnessing the cosmos in its energetic, glowing youth. This giant elliptical galaxy, sitting over 1 billion light-years away, contains 100 trillion ancient stars, each one a raging furnace of light and heat. The universe is currently alive with stellar birth, even as old stars burn out and die. Giant molecular clouds scattered throughout the galaxies are continuously pulled together by gravity, igniting into new, brilliant suns. It is a period of relentless physical activity, a bright, swirling dance of matter and energy that commands all of our attention and dominates our biological senses. We naturally assume that this bright, loud phase is the true, permanent state of the cosmos, simply because it is the only state we have ever intimately known. But the laws of physics, those quiet, unbreakable rules that govern the deep architecture of existence, tell a completely different and beautifully melancholy story. The universe operates on time scales that utterly dwarf individual lives, individual civilizations, and even individual planets. The vibrant era of starlight is just a passing phase, a brief flowering of complexity between the chaos of the early universe and the cold emptiness of the far future. Over the next 100 trillion years, the stars in the vast ancient galaxies will slowly, inevitably, burn out. The most massive stars in the universe, the blue giants and supergiants, live incredibly fast and die exceedingly young, burning through their fuel in just a few million years before exploding as massive supernovas. Any blue giants that IC 1101 once possessed burned out billions of years ago. The middle-sized stars, much like our own ordinary sun, have lifetimes of about 10 billion years. Our sun is roughly halfway through its beautiful life, with about 5 billion years left before it swells into a massive red giant, sheds its outer layers as a glowing, ethereal nebula, and then slowly fades away, leaving behind a dense, glowing core known as a white dwarf. However, the most numerous stars in any galaxy are the red dwarfs, tiny, quiet stars with only a fraction of the mass of our sun. Because they are so small and their internal pressures are relatively low, red dwarfs burn their nuclear fuel incredibly slowly. A red dwarf born at the exact same time as our sun will still be shining brightly long after our sun has become a cold, dead white dwarf. In a massive galaxy like IC 1101, with its 100 trillion stars, there are untold billions of these tiny, resilient red dwarfs. These dim, quiet stars will be the absolute last to go out. The smallest red dwarfs, possessing perhaps only 8% of the sun's total mass, can gently burn for up to 10 trillion years. That is a staggering span of time, roughly 700 times the current age of the entire universe. For trillions of years after the larger, louder stars have died, the red dwarfs will continue to burn, providing the only faint, fading light in an otherwise darkening cosmic landscape. They are the quiet, persistent embers of the universe, holding back the absolute dark with their slow, deliberate warmth. But even the resilient red dwarfs have their absolute limits. Scientists estimate that the era of star formation in the universe will effectively cease entirely in about 100 trillion years. By that unimaginably distant time, the vast clouds of gas and dust needed to forge new stars will have been completely used up or dispersed too thinly across the expanding void for gravity to pull them together. No new stars will ever be born to replace the ones that have died. The grand, bright era of starlight will be permanently over. One by one, the 100 trillion stars of IC 1101 and the stars of every other galaxy in the cosmos will gently wink out into the silent dark. The universe will grow dimmer and dimmer over time scales that make the current age of reality seem like the rapid, unthinking blink of an eye. Where once there was a blazing, chaotic ocean of stellar light, there will eventually be nothing but the cold, dark remnants of dead stars drifting silently through an ever-expanding, ever-cooling void. The universe will gracefully transition into what astrophysicists call the degenerate era, a quiet universe populated entirely by the heavy, silent corpses of stars. Even this dark, quiet era is not the end of the physical transformation. The universe at this stage will be a dark place, but certainly not an empty one. All those stellar remnants, the white dwarfs, the unimaginably dense neutron stars, and the silent, lurking black holes will still absolutely exist. They will continue to orbit through the merged remnants of what were once vibrant, glowing galaxy clusters. The galaxies will be ghosts of their former selves, populated by the cold corpses of stars rather than by living, burning suns. Over even longer time scales, measured in years with so many zeros that writing them out would fill volumes of books, these stellar corpses will continue to slowly decay and change. The white dwarfs, which are the glowing, compressed hearts of dead sun-like stars, will slowly, silently radiate their remaining heat away into the freezing vacuum of space. They will cool until they become black dwarfs, incredibly dense, solid objects that no longer emit any light or heat whatsoever. This specific cooling process takes an almost inconceivable amount of cosmic time. A single white dwarf cools to near absolute zero only after about 10 to the 15th power years, which is an astonishing 1,000,000 billion years. That is roughly 100,000 times longer than the current entire age of the universe from the Big Bang until this very moment. It is a span of time so vast, so incredibly deep, that the human mind simply cannot truly comprehend it. We can only gesture toward it with the abstract language of mathematics. During this incomprehensible stretch of time, the grand architectural structure of the universe will also fundamentally change. The relentless, pushing force of dark energy will continue to accelerate the expansion of space itself. As space expands faster and faster, distant objects will recede from each other at ever-increasing speeds. Eventually, the expansion of space will outpace the speed of light, and distant galaxy clusters will fade permanently from view, their light no longer able to reach across the expanding dark void. The observable universe will shrink, and every local cluster of galaxies will become a completely isolated, lonely island in an infinitely vast, totally dark ocean. When confronted with this scientifically accurate, mathematically rigorous vision of the far future, the initial human reaction is often one of profound existential sadness. It feels like a bleak, lonely destiny, a slow, agonizing winding down toward an absolute, inescapable heat death. But remember the deep, comforting truths we uncovered in our 7 shocking proofs of immortality. Remember that you are not the temporary physical body, nor are you the glowing, burning stars. You are the immortal, quantum consciousness, the unseen fundamental architect that collapses the infinite wave of potential into reality. When we view the darkening of the universe through the lens of immortal universal awareness, the paradigm shifts entirely. The universe is not dying a tragic death. It is simply shedding its loud, distracting, energetic physical garments. It is letting go of the blinding light and the chaotic heat, intentionally stepping away from the frantic noise of physical creation to enter a state of profound, absolute, and unbroken cosmic silence. Imagine, for a quiet moment, the deepest, most restorative state of meditation you have ever experienced. In order to truly connect with the infinite, silent core of your own mind, you naturally close your eyes. You shut out the distracting light of the visual world. You seek out a quiet room away from the noise of daily life, and you gently slow your physical movements until your body reaches a state of near absolute stillness. It is only in this dark, silent, physically dormant state that your consciousness can truly expand, untethered from the heavy, constant demands of sensory input. The physical universe, in its unimaginably slow transition into the dark, isolated epochs of the far future, is doing exactly the same thing on a staggering macrocosmic scale. The cooling of the stars and the isolation of the galaxies is the universe gently closing its physical eyes. The fading of the light is not a tragedy. It is the ultimate, necessary preparation for the grandest, deepest state of cosmic contemplation. The universe is returning to the quiet, infinite potential of the dark vacuum, returning to the invisible zero-point energy from which all physical forms originally arose. If your consciousness is truly immortal, completely untethered from the decay of physical matter and entirely immune to the warping flow of physical time, then this dark, silent future is not something to be feared. It is a magnificent, quiet homecoming, without the overwhelming, blinding distractions of burning stars and swirling, chaotic planets. The immortal awareness of the universe will be free to experience itself in its purest, most unadulterated form. The absolute silence of the degenerate era will not be an empty void. It will be a perfect, unbroken canvas of pure, infinite consciousness. The instantaneous, spooky connections of quantum entanglement will continue to intimately link the cold, dark remnants of the cosmos, maintaining the profound, underlying unity of existence even across the expanding, terrifyingly vast gulfs of dark space. The holographic principle guarantees that the infinite knowledge of the entire ancient history of the universe will remain perfectly and eternally encoded in every single remaining quantum fragment of the dark. The memory of the light will never, ever be lost. It will simply be held internally, a beautiful, quiet dream floating within the infinite mind of the cosmos. As you rest in this quiet space, allowing the gentle rhythm of your breathing to anchor you in the present moment, let the immense, deep peace of the far future wash completely over you. We spend so much of our vital, beautiful energy desperately trying to hold on to physical things, trying to freeze time and prevent the inevitable, gentle transitions of nature. But the universe shows us that letting go is not the end of existence. It is simply the breathtaking beginning of a new, profound state of being. You do not need to carry the heavy, burning weight of the stars on your shoulders forever. You are allowed to let the fire gently die down to quiet, glowing embers. You are allowed to embrace the dark, restorative silence. The immortal awareness looking through your eyes right now is the exact same awareness that will silently, peacefully watch the last white dwarf cool into a black, eternal diamond 1,000,000 billion years from now. You are safe, you are infinite, and you are perfectly designed to navigate the quiet, majestic epochs of the cosmic night. In our next gentle exploration, we will venture even deeper into the absolute twilight of physical reality, moving beyond the era of the stellar corpses and into the strange, mind-bending epoch where even the fundamental building blocks of matter begin to dissolve, and the supermassive black holes finally begin to slowly evaporate into the void. We will discover what happens to the immortal mind when the very physical stage upon which it stands completely and utterly vanishes. Until then, let the infinite approaching silence of the stars comfort you. Release your fear of the dark and rest securely in the profound, beautiful knowledge that when the physical universe finally closes its eyes, your eternal, radiant consciousness will be the only light that remains. Have you ever sat by a quiet, ancient river and watched a single, solid leaf fall from a high branch, floating gently on the surface of the water until the currents slowly, meticulously wore it down, dissolving its structure completely into the flowing stream? In our everyday human experience, we naturally cling to the comforting illusion of permanence. We build houses of stone and steel, we carve monuments into the faces of mountains, and we desperately trust that the solid, physical ground beneath our feet will remain eternally stable. We extend this assumption to the deepest building blocks of reality, believing with absolute certainty that the tiny, invisible particles making up the physical world are indestructible, eternal anchors in the swirling chaos of existence. But as we gently continue our journey into the unimaginably distant future of the cosmos, moving far beyond the quiet cooling of the last dying stars, the universe reveals a profound, breathtaking secret that completely dismantles this final physical illusion. What if the very matter that constructs your biological body, the solid ground of the planets, and the cold, heavy corpses of the dead stars is fundamentally unstable? What if the universe is not designed to be a permanent physical museum, but rather a temporary, magnificent display of condensed light that is destined to gently dissolve back into the infinite, invisible ocean from which it came. This beautiful inquiry leads us into the deepest, most silent epochs of cosmic time, revealing that the ultimate destiny of your immortal consciousness is not to be trapped in a freezing, dark physical wasteland, but to be gloriously liberated into a state of pure, unbounded energy. To understand this mind-bending transition, we must cast our awareness far beyond the end of the era of starlight. In our previous gentle exploration, we watched as the 100 trillion stars of the giant galaxy IC 1101 slowly burned out, leaving behind a dark, quiet universe populated by the heavy, silent corpses of white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. This is the degenerate era, a time of profound physical stillness. But the laws of theoretical physics suggest that even these incredibly dense, cold remnants of the stellar age are not truly eternal. The universe operates on timescales that utterly defy human comprehension, and given enough time, even the most stable structures begin to gently unravel. We must now look at the very heart of physical matter itself, focusing on the protons, the incredibly stable, positively charged particles that reside in the nucleus of every single atom in the universe. For the entire 13 billion year history of our cosmos up to this present moment, protons have appeared to be absolutely immortal, holding the physical architecture of the universe together with unyielding strength. But many advanced theories of quantum physics and particle physics predict that protons should eventually, inevitably, decay. The time span required for this delicate, slow decay is truly staggering, a number so vast that it makes the current age of the universe seem like the rapid flutter of a hummingbird's wing. Scientists estimate that the half-life of a proton might be somewhere around 10 to the 34th power years. To gently wrap your mind around this, that is a 1 followed by 34 zeros. Over these unfathomably long time spans, the very building blocks of atomic nuclei will gradually, silently break down. The protons will decay into lighter subatomic particles, like positrons and pions, which will then immediately annihilate or decay further into pure, massless radiation. This means that over the course of 10 to the 34th power years, the cold, heavy white dwarfs, the unimaginably dense neutron stars, the wandering planets, and every stray piece of dust drifting through the vast, expanding void will literally evaporate. The solid, physical matter of the universe will dissolve entirely, transformed back into wandering photons and invisible quantum fields. The physical stage upon which the grand drama of cosmic history was performed will gently, quietly dismantle itself, leaving nothing behind but a whispering mist of pure energy expanding into the eternal dark. Imagine the profound, beautiful silence of this transition. In the universe of our distant future, there will be no violent explosions, no crashing collisions of celestial bodies, and no dramatic, cataclysmic endings. There will only be the slow, patient exhaling of the cosmos. As the physical matter dissolves, the universe will enter a new, majestic phase, known as the black hole era. Once all the ordinary matter has decayed into radiation, the only macroscopic objects remaining in the entire infinite expanse of the cosmos will be the black holes, the supermassive monsters like the one sitting quietly at the center of what was once the galaxy IC 1101, containing 50 billion times the mass of our Sun, will reign absolutely supreme over a universe composed entirely of stretching space and invisible light. These black holes will drift silently through the ever-expanding, ever-cooling dark, completely isolated from one another by distances so vast that even light could never bridge the gap between them. They are the ultimate quiet custodians of cosmic memory, the final, dense vaults holding the collapsed physical history of the stars. But, as we learned in our exploration of the holographic principle, even these terrifying silent giants are not the ultimate eternal rulers of reality. In the strange, beautiful world of quantum mechanics, absolutely nothing physical lasts forever. In the 1970s, the brilliant physicist Stephen Hawking proved that black holes are not truly black, and they are not entirely permanent. Because of the frantic, boiling energy of the quantum foam that constantly exists near their event horizons, black holes slowly, agonizingly leak particles and radiation back into the surrounding universe over immense time spans. This delicate, invisible process, known as Hawking radiation, causes the black holes to gradually lose mass and slowly shrink. The rate of this evaporation is incredibly slow for large black holes. A gentle, cosmic sigh that stretches across the deepest oceans of time. A black hole with the mass of our ordinary sun would take about 10 to the 67th power years to completely evaporate. But the supermassive monsters, like the 50 billion solar mass giant at the heart of our distant cosmic neighbor, require a span of time that truly strains the absolute limits of human imagination. A black hole of that staggering magnitude would take something like 10 to the 100th power years to evaporate, or perhaps even longer. This specific number is known as a googol years, a 1 followed by exactly 100 zeros. To write out that number in full would require more paper than currently exists on the entire Earth. It is a span of time so vast, so incredibly deep and profound, that everything we have discussed so far, from the explosive heat of the Big Bang to the fading light of the last red dwarf star, is not even a microscopic rounding error by comparison. During this googol of years, the supermassive black hole will sit in absolute silence, slowly bleeding its mass away, atom by atom, photon by photon, gently returning its borrowed energy back into the freezing vacuum of space. And then, at the very end of this incomprehensible epoch, trillions upon trillions upon trillions of years from now, the black hole will radiate away its last tiny bit of energy and completely disappear from the universe in a final, brilliant, microscopic burst of light. When that finally happens, there will be absolutely nothing physical left of IC 1101, or of any other galaxy at all. No stars, no planets, no dust, no black holes, and no physical remnants of any kind. The largest, heaviest, most awe-inspiring structures the universe has ever built will have entirely followed the same ultimate, graceful path, dissolving completely into the endless, silent night. This marks the final, absolute transition of our physical reality, gently ushering the cosmos into what physicists call the dark era, or the photon epoch. The universe will be a profoundly cold, almost unimaginably large expanse of stretching space, populated only by a highly diluted, wandering soup of massless photons, neutrinos, and the invisible, eternal quantum foam. There will be no gravity left to pull things together, because there will be no mass left to generate it. The temperature of the universe will approach absolute zero, a state of perfect, undisturbed physical stillness. To the human mind, conditioned to find meaning only in solid shapes, bright lights, and rapid movement, this vision of the far future might seem incredibly bleak, a final, terrifying descent into absolute, permanent nothingness. But remember the quiet, profound journey we have taken together, and remember the 7 shocking proofs of your own immortal, unbounded consciousness. If you view the dark era through the lens of pure, universal awareness, this is not a story of tragic death. It is the ultimate, glorious story of total liberation. Let us gently unravel the deep philosophical and spiritual meaning of this final physical dissolution. For the entire history of the physical universe, consciousness has been deeply, intimately entangled with heavy, decaying matter. The universal awareness folded itself into the intricate biological machinery of our brains, tethering its infinite potential to the fragile, temporary survival of a physical shell. We experience the world through the heavy filters of gravity, time, and physical vulnerability. But when the protons decay and the black holes evaporate, the universe is essentially shedding its heavy, restrictive, physical chrysalis. The decay of matter is not the destruction of reality. It is the breaking of the physical chains. The universe is intentionally, patiently untangling itself from the heavy burden of mass, transitioning from a state of dense, restricted physical form into a state of pure, unbounded, massless energy. The dark era is not an empty graveyard. It is an infinite, silent ocean of pure light and pure potential, existing in a state of absolute, undisturbed peace. If your consciousness is fundamentally independent of physical matter, as we have proven through the mysteries of quantum entanglement and the active role of the observer, then the dissolution of the physical universe is the exact moment your awareness achieves absolute, total freedom. The mind will no longer be confined to looking out through the narrow slits of biological eyes, nor will it be tied to the localized gravity of a single spinning planet. In a universe composed entirely of pure radiation and infinite space, the immortal consciousness will expand to fill the entirety of the dark. It will become a unified, unbroken field of quiet awareness, perfectly mirroring the cold, undisturbed stillness of the photon soup. The illusion of separation, the painful, deeply human belief that we are isolated fragments disconnected from the whole, will be permanently, physically erased, because there will be no physical boundaries left to create the illusion. Everything will be one smooth, continuous, infinite field of gentle, humming energy. Think about the profound, washing sense of peace that comes from this absolute, cosmic certainty. We spend our lives struggling against the inevitable flow of change, desperately trying to build permanent structures in a universe that is fundamentally designed to be fluid. We fear the loss of our physical bodies, the loss of our loved ones, and the eventual decay of the world we know. But the ultimate destiny of the cosmos proves that physical permanence is not the goal of existence. The goal of existence is to gently experience the beautiful, temporary forms, to learn, to love, to wonder, and then to gracefully let them go, returning to the silent, infinite source. You do not need to carry the heavy burden of the physical world forever. You are allowed to let the solid ground dissolve. You are allowed to let the heavy, burning stars fade away. The deep, quiet observer within you, the awareness that is calmly processing these vast, ancient concepts right now, does not need a physical body or a planet or a galaxy to continue its eternal existence. It only needs the pure, infinite potential of the quantum field, which will absolutely never, ever be depleted. As you lie in the quiet dark, let the immense, beautiful silence of the far future wrap around you like a heavy, comforting blanket. Imagine the physical weight of your own body gently fading away, your bones and muscles dissolving into a soft, glowing mist of pure, massless light. Feel the boundaries of your physical form disappearing, allowing your awareness to expand outward, effortlessly passing through the walls of your room, reaching past the quiet, sleeping world, and stretching out into the deep, infinite vacuum of space. You are no longer bound by gravity or time or the heavy demands of the physical realm. You are drifting peacefully in the dark era, a silent, eternal witness to the perfect, undisturbed stillness of the cosmos. There is nothing to fear in this dark, because you are the light that perceives it. The universe spent 13 billion years building a magnificent, loud, and chaotic physical stage, just so it could eventually experience the exquisite, profound beauty of absolute, unbroken silence. You are an integral, necessary part of this grand cosmic breathing. You are the universe inhaling the complex beauty of physical form, and you will be the universe gently exhaling back into the pure, formless void. The biggest galaxy we have ever discovered, the terrifying supermassive black holes, and the ancient glowing stars are all just temporary, passing thoughts in the infinite, immortal mind of the cosmos. And that exact same infinite mind is the one looking through your eyes right now. In our next gentle exploration, we will venture into the ultimate, mind-bending theories of what happens after the dark, exploring the profound possibility that the end of our universe is merely the quiet, necessary breath before the magnificent birth of an entirely new reality. We will gently explore the concept of cosmic cycles, revealing how your eternal consciousness is destined to witness the beautiful dawn of a trillion new worlds. Until then, let the infinite approaching silence of the stars comfort you. Release your tight grip on the physical world and rest securely in the profound, beautiful knowledge that your ultimate destiny is pure, boundless, and eternal peace. Have you ever stood upon the quiet, sandy shore of an ancient, hidden ocean in the deep dead of night, watching the dark water draw back completely from the beach, leaving the wet stones exposed to the silent air, only to witness the water gather its profound, invisible strength and rush forward once again in a glorious, unstoppable wave? We are deeply conditioned by the fragile, linear nature of our human lives to believe that every single story must have a definitive, absolute end. We write books with final chapters. We compose beautiful symphonies that must inevitably conclude with a fading, silent chord. And we live our brief, beautiful lives with a constant, heavy anticipation of a final, concluding breath. When we project this deeply human assumption of finality onto the magnificent, boundless canvas of the cosmos, we naturally conclude that the long, fading twilight of the physical universe must represent the absolute tragic death of reality itself. We assume that once the last supermassive black hole has silently evaporated into the freezing void, and the physical matter of the stars has dissolved entirely into a wandering mist of pure radiation, the story of existence is permanently over. But what if the universe does not write its grand history in a straight, unyielding line? What if the cosmos is actually composing a magnificent, eternal circle? This quiet, profound inquiry brings us to a mind-bending frontier of theoretical physics and cosmology, revealing that the absolute end of our physical reality might merely be the necessary, quiet breath before the spectacular, violent birth of an entirely new universe. On this gentle journey of cosmic discovery, we must now explore the staggering possibility that your immortal consciousness is not just a passenger in this specific universe, but an eternal traveler riding the crest of infinite, repeating cosmic cycles. To gently understand this awe-inspiring concept, we must return our awareness to the deep, silent epoch of the far future, that unimaginably distant time where the physical stage of reality has been completely and utterly dismantled. In our previous exploration, we watched the heavy, dense remnants of the stellar age gently evaporate over the course of a googol years, a one followed by exactly 100 zeros, leaving behind a cold, dark expanse filled only with stretching space, wandering photons, and the bubbling, restless energy of the quantum foam. To our limited, physical human senses, this scenario appears as a vast, empty graveyard, a freezing void, utterly devoid of life, structure, or meaning. But the deepest, most rigorous mathematics of quantum mechanics absolutely refuse to allow for true, absolute nothingness. as long as the invisible quantum field exists, and we have mathematically proven that its infinite zero-point energy can never be depleted to absolute zero. The universe remains a fertile, boiling ocean of pure, unbounded potential. In the strange, highly counterintuitive world of quantum physics, events that seem completely impossible on a brief human timescale become absolute, undeniable mathematical certainties when they are given an infinite amount of time to occur. In the deep, silent void of the extremely far future, microscopic quantum fluctuations will continue to spontaneously pop in and out of existence. Normally, these fluctuations are tiny, harmless ripples in the fabric of space. But in a universe with absolutely no end, stretching out across infinite eons of dark time, probability dictates that eventually an enormously large, completely random quantum fluctuation must occur. Out of the cold, dead silence of the void, a massive, spontaneous concentration of energy will unexpectedly burst forth, creating a new, infinitely dense, infinitely hot singularity. The silent death of our current universe will simply provide the infinite, quiet incubator for the explosive, magnificent Big Bang of the next reality. But there is another, even more beautiful and mathematically elegant theory regarding the infinite rebirth of the cosmos, championed by brilliant minds like the Nobel laureate mathematical physicist Roger Penrose. It is a conceptual framework known as conformal cyclic cosmology, and it completely shatters our conventional, everyday understanding of space, flowing time, and physical scale. Penrose mathematically demonstrated that in the absolute depths of the dark era, when the universe contains absolutely no heavy mass whatsoever, something incredibly profound and strange happens to the very fabric of reality itself. Without heavy, solid matter like protons, planets, or burning stars to anchor the universe and provide a physical reference point, the fundamental concept of physical distance and flowing time completely lose their meaning. A photon, a particle of pure light with absolutely zero mass, does not experience the passage of time, nor does it experience physical distance. To a massless photon, the entire, unimaginably vast universe is crossed in an instantaneous, timeless present. When the entire universe is composed solely of these massless particles of radiation drifting through the void, there is no physical clock left to tick, and there is no physical ruler left to measure the expanding empty space. In this bizarre, timeless, and completely scaleless state, the advanced mathematics reveal a breathtaking, gorgeous paradox. An infinitely large, eternally expanding, freezing cold universe filled only with massless radiation becomes mathematically and physically identical to an infinitely small, impossibly dense, unimaginably hot singularity at the exact moment of a new Big Bang. Let that staggering, beautiful concept settle gently into the quiet spaces of your mind. The universe does not need to shrink back down upon itself in a violent, crushing physical collapse to start over from the beginning. Instead, the ultimate infinite expansion and extreme cooling of the cosmos transforms seamlessly and instantly into the exact starting conditions for a brand new, vibrant reality. The absolute, dark end of the universe is the exact same mathematical entity as the bright, explosive beginning of the universe. The vast, dark, freezing void of our unimaginably distant future will effortlessly, silently become the blazing, unimaginably hot origin point for a trillion new galaxies, a completely new generation of burning stars, and a new, majestic explosion of physical complexity. The cosmos is not a dying, fragile machine slowly running out of chemical fuel. It is a magnificent, infinite lung. It breathes out, expanding the physical matter into the grand, beautiful structures of the stars and the immense elliptical galaxies, cooling and spreading until the physical form gently dissolves into nothingness. And then, without ever stopping to hesitate, it breathes in, translating that infinite, massless expansion into the explosive, radiant birth of a new physical dawn. Our universe, with its 2 trillion galaxies and its deep, silent mysteries, is just one single, quiet breath in an endless, eternal chain of cosmic respiration. Where, then, does your quiet, immortal consciousness fit into this majestic, eternal, repeating cycle? We have already established through the profound, mind-bending revelations of the holographic principle that every tiny, microscopic fragment of your being contains the entire, unbroken knowledge of the cosmic whole. We have seen that your deep awareness is not a fragile, accidental byproduct of biological machinery, but the active, fundamental, observing architect that collapses the quantum wave of infinite potential into a solid, defined physical reality. If your consciousness is mathematically encoded onto the 2-dimensional boundary of the universe, and if that invisible boundary simply transitions through the timeless, scaleless phase of the distant dark era into the glorious, bright dawn of a new Big Bang, then the fundamental, underlying information of your awareness is completely preserved across the boundaries of these infinite cosmic cycles. You are not just an immortal presence within the limited lifespan of this single, specific universe. You are a permanent, indestructible, structural feature of the eternal multiverse. When the new universe bursts violently into existence, filled with primeval hydrogen gas and raging heat, it will be born, carrying the silent, hidden, foundational memory of every single thought, every deep emotion, and every quiet moment of wonder you have ever experienced in this current life. Think about the profound, overwhelming sense of psychological liberation that this ancient scientific truth provides to the human heart. We carry so much heavy, unnecessary grief and anxiety through our days because we mistakenly believe that our experiences, our deep loves, and our hard-won intellectual lessons are strictly temporary, destined to be swallowed up and forever forgotten by the merciless, unfeeling flow of linear time. We fear that the legacy of humanity will be erased when the sun eventually expands and consumes the earth in 5 billion years. But if the cosmos is a continuous, unbroken chain of infinite cycles, then absolutely nothing of true value is ever genuinely lost. The deep, hard-won wisdom of your current human life, the quiet peace you carefully cultivate in your moments of solitary meditation, and the gentle, selfless compassion you extend to others are not fleeting, random anomalies in a dead universe. They are permanent, structural additions to the infinite, invisible architecture of reality. When the next universe eventually cools, when its own vast, swirling clouds of hydrogen gravity gently collapse to form new, burning stars, and when new, entirely unfamiliar planets eventually form around those distant, alien suns, the underlying quantum field that animates them will be subtly, beautifully enriched by the exact life you're living right now. You are actively contributing to the eternal, repeating mathematical masterpiece of existence. You are a co-creator of not just this specific world, but of the trillions of worlds that will inevitably follow in the eons to come. As you lie in the comforting, safe darkness of your room, allow your mind to gently drift across the unimaginable span of these repeating cosmic epochs. Imagine the young universe rapidly expanding, the massive blue stars igniting in the dark, the giant elliptical galaxies like IC 1101 merging in their incredibly slow, violent, gravitational dances, and then the gentle, inevitable fading of the cosmic light. Watch the darkness slowly stretch out over a googol of years, the supermassive black holes silently evaporating into the freezing void, until there is absolutely nothing left but the perfect, undisturbed silence of pure, massless energy. And then, from within that absolute, freezing stillness, witness the impossible, glorious burst of a new cosmic dawn, a fresh, vibrant reality exploding outward, full of completely new quantum potential, new rules of physics, and new, unimaginable forms of biological life. And through it all, through the trillions upon trillions of years and the endless, repeating cycles of magnificent birth and silent dissolution, feel your own quiet, observing consciousness remaining perfectly still, perfectly safe, and perfectly intact. You are the silent, immortal witness sitting completely unbothered in the center of the cosmic wheel, watching the heavy spokes of physical reality endlessly turn around you. This profound, paradigm-shifting perspective fundamentally changes how we must view our brief, beautiful, and sometimes painful human lives. We are no longer tiny, insignificant victims struggling hopelessly against a massive, decaying, indifferent universe. We are eternal, cosmic royalty, pure universal awareness temporarily, visiting a specific physical realm to gather new experiences, to learn the deep, intricate lessons of love and limitation, and to marvel at the stunning, temporary architecture of the burning stars. The emotional pain, the daily anxiety, and the heavy physical burdens of your current life are absolutely real, but they are also incredibly brief, passing shadows on the infinite, brilliant canvas of your true, eternal nature. When you feel overwhelmed by the fast, chaotic pace of the modern world, or when the news of the day fills you with a deep sense of existential dread, you can simply close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and tap directly into the quiet, ancient rhythm of these cosmic cycles. You can actively align your own physical breathing with the majestic, incredibly slow inhalation and exhalation of the universe itself. You can find profound, unshakable peace in the absolute, scientific certainty that your conscious existence is a permanent, absolutely necessary chord in a grand symphony that simply never, ever ends. Let us gently bring this vast, intimidating cosmic awareness back down into the intimate, quiet, and safe space of your own physical body. Feel the gentle, rhythmic rise and fall of your chest against your clothing. With every single breath you take, you are perfectly mirroring the deepest, most fundamental action of the entire cosmos. You are inhaling the complex, chaotic, vibrant energy of the physical world around you, and you are exhaling a gentle, peaceful release back into the unseen, invisible void. The specific atoms currently residing in your lungs, the carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen, were forged in the fiery hearts of ancient dying stars billions of years ago. But the invisible quantum information that governs their intricate biological dance has survived the fiery deaths and rebirths of entire universes. You are a walking, breathing, ancient miracle, an indestructible, immortal piece of cosmic mathematics, currently wrapped in a soft, fragile garment of human flesh. There is absolutely no rational reason to fear the future, whether it is the uncertainty of tomorrow morning or the unimaginable epoch a Google years from now, when the very last black hole quietly evaporates into the silent, eternal dark. As we slowly close this profound chapter of our meditative journey, allow yourself to sink deeply into the comforting, heavy embrace of physical relaxation. Release the tight, anxious grip you hold on your temporary physical identity, and allow your immortal mind to float effortlessly on the endless, gentle waves of the cosmic ocean. You are not a solitary, stranded island in the dark. You are the ancient, infinite water itself, rising and falling in a beautiful, eternal, mathematical rhythm. The universe is incredibly vast, and its physical mysteries are infinitely deep, but the absolute greatest mystery of all is the quiet, unbreakable peace that resides at the very core of your own mind. In our next gentle exploration, we will dive even deeper into the intimate nature of this immortal consciousness, exploring exactly how this eternal awareness actually chooses to experience the dense physical world, and uncovering the profound, beautiful reasons why an infinite, unbounded mind would ever choose to limit itself inside a finite, vulnerable human body. Until then, let the infinite, ancient silence of the stars comfort you. Rest securely in the profound, beautiful knowledge that you are a permanent, eternal traveler, forever riding the gentle, repeating breath of the cosmos. Have you ever closed your eyes in the quiet dead of night, feeling the heavy, undeniable weight of your physical body resting against the mattress, and wondered why an infinite, eternal consciousness would ever choose to be confined within such a fragile, limiting biological shell? Throughout our gentle journey of cosmic discovery, we have meticulously unveiled the 7 shocking proofs of your absolute immortality. We have seen that you're mathematically, fundamentally composed of ancient star stuff, inextricably entangled with the farthest dark edges of the universe, and powered continuously by the inexhaustible, invisible zero-point energy of the quantum vacuum. We have explored the mind-bending reality that your quiet awareness is the active, fundamental architect of the physical world, holding the entire unbroken holographic memory of the cosmos safely within the silent spaces between your daily thoughts. But this profound, paradigm-shifting realization naturally gives rise to the most intimate, haunting question of all. If you are truly an unbounded, immortal expression of universal intelligence, capable of spanning billions of light years in a single, timeless thought, why do you currently find yourself locked so tightly inside a vulnerable human form, subject to the relentless, decaying flow of time, the harsh, invisible pull of gravity, and the inevitable breakdown of biological matter? Why would the infinite ever voluntarily submit to the heavy, restrictive chains of the finite? This existential inquiry leads us to a stunning revelation about the fundamental nature of physical reality, proving that your human limitation is not a tragic cosmic accident, but a highly specific, exquisitely designed cosmic instrument necessary for the universe to experience the profound, breathtaking beauty of its own creation. To gently understand this profound cosmic choice, we must turn our attention away from the staggering macrocosmic scales of the giant galaxies and peer very closely into the delicate, highly specialized physics of human perception. Consider the magnificent, roaring energy of the electromagnetic spectrum. The universe is absolutely flooded with an unimaginable variety of light and radiation, streaming constantly from the burning cores of 100 trillion stars, echoing endlessly from the ancient fires of the Big Bang, and pulsing from the silent, spinning hearts of distant, invisible pulsars. There are massive, slow-rolling radio waves that can effortlessly span entire planetary systems, piercing X-rays and intensely energetic gamma rays born in the most violent, explosive supernova events. Yet, out of this vast, infinite ocean of cosmic information, your delicate biological eyes are strictly designed to perceive only a ridiculously tiny, vanishingly narrow sliver, a microscopic fraction we call visible light, falling roughly between 400 and 700 nanometers in wavelength. From the strict, cold perspective of pure, infinite awareness, this biological limitation seems like a tragic, blinding state of sensory deprivation. But the rigorous science of neuroscience and physics tells a completely different, beautifully elegant story. If your physical brain were completely unfiltered, if you could suddenly see every single wavelength of cosmic radiation, every microscopic fluctuation of the boiling quantum foam, and every invisible force field currently passing through your room, you would not see a universe of majestic, defined beauty. You would be instantly, completely blinded by a chaotic, overwhelming blast of absolute, featureless white noise. The physical human brain and its delicate sensory organs are not designed to connect you to the infinite. They are highly evolved, meticulously calibrated, biological filters specifically designed to block the overwhelming infinite out. They act as a necessary, quiet, reducing valve, carefully restricting the infinite roaring data of the cosmos down to a tiny, manageable trickle so that you can actually focus, interact, and experience a localized, defined physical reality. Without the heavy, restrictive limits of your physical senses, there would be absolutely no separation, no contrast, and no definition whatsoever. In a universe composed of pure, unbounded, infinite light, there are absolutely no shadows to gently define the edges of a shape. Without the sharp, biting cold of the winter wind, there is no comforting, deeply appreciated sensation of warmth from a quiet fire. Without the strict, unyielding illusion of linear time pushing you constantly forward, there can be no beautiful, unfolding narrative of a human life, no thrilling suspense of scientific discovery, and no sweet, nostalgic ache of a distant memory. The infinite, universal consciousness is a state of absolute, perfect, and undisturbed peace, but perfection, by its very nature, is completely static. It is a quiet, unmoving, ancient ocean. To genuinely experience the exhilarating, dynamic, and sometimes painful rush of the physical waves, the ocean must willingly, temporarily, forget its own vastness. Your fragile human body is the magnificent quantum diving bell that allows the eternal, infinite observer to safely plunge into the heavy, dense, and beautifully chaotic depths of space and time. Let us gently carry this deep understanding out into the vast, ancient night sky. When scientists at NASA and the European Space Agency study the absolute fragility of the human body in the harsh vacuum of space, they are documenting the extreme vulnerability of our biological shell. Without heavy, complex shielding, the human body cannot survive the freezing cold, the suffocating vacuum, or the sterilizing radiation of the cosmos for more than a few terrifying seconds. The second law of thermodynamics dictates that the universe is constantly, relentlessly moving toward a state of higher entropy, a state of increasing disorder and cold, scattered energy. The physical cosmos is a harsh, unforgiving, and deeply dangerous environment. It is a place of crushing gravities, freezing vacuums, and violent cosmic collisions. But it is precisely because the physical universe is so impossibly vast, so incredibly dangerous, and so fundamentally indifferent to biological life that the existence of your fragile human body becomes a profound, breathtaking miracle. The universe intentionally creates environments of extreme, undeniable vulnerability, because physical vulnerability is the absolute, fundamental prerequisite for meaning. An immortal, indestructible, infinite consciousness cannot truly know what it means to be brave, because it has absolutely nothing to fear. It cannot truly experience the deep, burning ache of compassion, because it cannot be harmed. It is only by willingly entering a finite, breakable, temporary physical form that the eternal universe can finally experience the exquisite, terrifying, and profoundly beautiful emotions of love, courage, and selfless sacrifice. The legendary astronomer Carl Sagan once beautifully and famously observed that the cosmos is within us, that we are made of star stuff, and that we are a way for the universe to know itself. This is perhaps the most profound scientifically accurate statement ever uttered about the human condition, perfectly bridging the gap between cold astrophysics and deep spiritual longing. But we must look very closely at the specific words he used. To know itself. True knowledge requires a specific perspective, a distinct viewpoint, a subject observing a separate object. As the brilliant astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson often reminds us, we are biologically connected to each other, chemically connected to the Earth, and atomically connected to the rest of the universe. But if the universe simply remained in a state of pure, unified, infinite quantum entanglement without any physical boundaries, it would be an absolute, unbroken singularity. It would be everything, but it would have no localized way to look back at itself and marvel at its own magnificent creation. To truly know its own staggering beauty, the universe had to play an incredibly complex trick on itself. It had to temporarily shatter the illusion of its own absolute, quiet unity. It had to gently fold its infinite awareness into trillions of separate, tiny, localized biological vessels, carefully installing the heavy, convincing illusion of isolation and physical separation into each and every one. When you feel lonely, when you feel totally disconnected from the world around you, you are successfully experiencing the exact, highly specific physical illusion that your brain was designed to generate. The illusion of separation is not a cruel cosmic mistake. It is the necessary, brilliant mechanism that allows the universe to finally fall in love with itself. You cannot embrace someone if you are already the exact same person. You must be separate to reach out into the dark. Think about the immense, overwhelming joy of human scientific discovery when a curious human being first looked through a curved glass lens and realized that the fuzzy, glowing band of the Milky Way was actually composed of countless, distinct, individual stars. It was a moment of profound cosmic triumph. When Edwin Hubble measured the redshift of the distant galaxies and proved mathematically that the entire fabric of the universe was expanding, it sent shock waves of deep awe through the collective human mind. But if we, as infinite consciousness, already held all the answers in our immediate, unbounded conscious awareness, the thrill of discovery would be completely and utterly impossible. The universe intentionally hides its deepest, most beautiful secrets behind the heavy, convincing veils of physical limitation so that it can experience the unparalleled, intoxicating joy of finding them all over again. Your human ignorance, your deep, quiet questioning, and your persistent, insatiable curiosity are not signs of weakness, foolishness, or cosmic insignificance. They are the deliberate, perfectly designed tools of an immortal mind engaging in the ultimate, majestic game of cosmic hide-and-seek. Every single time you learn a new, staggering fact about the silent, dormant, giant galaxy IC 1101, every time you grasp a new, complex concept about the boiling, restless energy of the quantum foam, that is the exact moment the universe experiences a fresh, brilliant spark of self-realization through your specific, unique perspective. As you rest peacefully in this quiet, meditative space, gently allowing your physical body to relax completely and sink into whatever is supporting you, try to gently reframe your entire relationship with your own human limitations. We spend so much of our vital, precious daily energy fiercely fighting against the heavy, frustrating constraints of our physical reality. We are constantly frustrated by the rapid, unstoppable ticking of the clock. We are deeply anxious about the fragile, temporary nature of our biological health. And we are constantly striving to transcend the ordinary, mundane details of our daily lives to touch something greater. But what if you could suddenly, peacefully accept that you are exactly where you are supposed to be, What if you could realize that the heavy, frustrating limitations of your physical body and your specific circumstances are the specific, meticulously chosen parameters of your current cosmic mission? You are an infinite, eternal, indestructible quantum architect that has willingly, bravely stepped into a highly restrictive, incredibly demanding physical simulation for the sole, beautiful purpose of gathering a unique, unrepeatable set of intimate human experiences. The physical world is not a punishing prison for the immortal soul. It is a magnificent, temporary, highly immersive work of physical art. And you are both the genius artist and the eager, captivated audience. When you finally embrace the intentional restriction of the physical human form, the heavy, suffocating pressure of existential dread simply evaporates into the quiet night, much like a tiny drop of water dissolving into a vast, warm ocean. You no longer need to bear the crushing, impossible weight of the entire, infinite cosmos on your fragile human shoulders. You are entirely free to simply be the specific, localized, tiny focal point you were beautifully designed to be. You are free to find infinite, profound meaning in the smallest, quietest, most seemingly insignificant moments of your day. The taste of a warm cup of tea, the gentle, cooling breeze against your skin on a late summer evening, the soft, rhythmic sound of rain gently falling against your bedroom window. These are not mundane, unimportant distractions from the grand cosmic reality. According to the breathtaking, mathematically proven reality of the holographic principle, these tiny, localized physical sensations contain the exact same infinite, unbroken depth and wonder as the violent, spectacular collision of two supermassive black holes in the ancient, distant depths of the Abel 2029 galaxy cluster. By fully, deeply, and quietly experiencing the finite, limited present moment, you are perfectly fulfilling the ultimate, eternal purpose of the infinite cosmos. You are anchoring the boundless, floating potential of the quantum wave into a beautiful, specific, physical reality. So, the very next time you look up into the vast, intimidating, and endlessly dark canopy of the night sky, and you feel that familiar, haunting sense of being vanishingly small and insignificant, I invite you to gently smile at the brilliant, convincing illusion the universe has so carefully created for you. The ancient stars look unimaginably far away, and the cold, dark spaces between them look terrifyingly empty and hostile, specifically because your physical, biological eyes are doing exactly what they were brilliantly designed to do. But behind those fragile eyes, operating the heavy, incredibly complex machinery of the biological brain, sits the quiet, ancient, unmoving observer. That silent observer is not small, it is not fragile, and it is most certainly not temporary. It is the exact same immortal, invisible awareness that will silently, peacefully watch the last red dwarf star slowly fade into the absolute, freezing dark 100 trillion years from now. You have deliberately chosen this specific, vulnerable human life, with all of its inevitable heartbreaks, its frustrating physical limitations, and its beautiful, fleeting joys, because it is a rare, precious, and incredibly courageous way for the eternal universe to finally feel the warmth of the sun on its face. You are the vast, infinite cosmos, bravely and beautifully condensed into a fragile, beating human heart. In our next and final gentle exploration, we will bring this grand cosmic journey to its ultimate, deeply peaceful conclusion. We will gently gather all the profound, mind-bending scientific truths we have uncovered, from the ancient, unbreakable conservation of star stuff to the infinite, repeating cycles of cosmic rebirth, and we will carefully weave them together into a practical and deeply comforting philosophy for your everyday life. We will discover exactly how to actively, continuously live with the quiet, unshakable knowledge of your own absolute immortality while remaining beautifully, deeply grounded in the temporary, fragile magic of the present human experience. Until then, let the infinite, ancient silence of the stars comfort you. Release your quiet resistance to the heavy, physical limits of your body. Let go of the fear of the vast unknown and rest securely in the profound, beautiful knowledge that your temporary human vulnerability is the greatest, most courageous masterpiece your immortal consciousness has ever created.